ESPN2's continuous, unprecedented coverage of activity surrounding Speedweeks 97 continues today with a whole bunch of qualifying. Second round Winston Cup, and then qualifying for the Busch and the Goodies Dash Series. Those rain showers have moved out, and Bill Weber, it's almost a perfect day for qualifying.
It certainly is, Bob Jenkins, and I'll tell you what. The weather yesterday really threw some of these teams for a loop. They didn't get any Winston Cup action on the track here yesterday. And today, another curveball from the weatherman. It is cool, it is crisp, partly cloudy. The wind would be a tailwind down the front stretch through the tri-oval,
It's the loudest
but a
it can be
headwind on the
right
back
there.
stretch. I'm not sure that's ideal conditions. A lot of guys had to
Test.
think twice. Are we going to
I gotta talk
re-qualify,
up.
or should we stand on our
There you
time? The
go.
weather definitely a factor. The result, a list of 13 cars that will attempt a second round qualifying run. And this is the
Twin
only time you're gonna
125s,
get to
Daytona,
improve
I was
your original
here.
qualifying time. Just 2 rounds this year instead of 3 because of the weather. Among the guys deep in the field that are not going to make a second run, Ward Burton and his brother Jeff Burton, Johnny Benson and Mike Wallace all had 4 qualifying times, and now will be forced to race their way into the field when the Twin 125s come around. Here's Jeremy Mayfield, who's just walked out here on the grid, and we don't have any cars, but at least we got a driver. You're going to try and go again.
Yeah, we are, and the car's on its way here, so we're going to be the first ones out, and just hope we can get this Kmart RC Cole a little bit faster than what it was the other day, that's for sure.
Any changes?
Yeah, we swapped motors, and we don't know right now if it's better or not. We'll know here in a few minutes.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
And that motor swapping story is just one of several big stories down here today. Now, among the cars that are supposed to go second round, Joe Nemechek, his car doing a motor change right now, but on the other side in the Busch garage, he was the fastest guy in second round Busch practice. That was earlier today. This will be a very exciting and for some teams very tense afternoon at the Daytona International Speedway. For more, let's go back to the garage and my colleague, Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Bill. The story we've been following here for the last couple of days has been to the total reconstruction of the 1997 Ford Thunderbird of Billy Standridge. This car now being rolled out of the garage area as they get the car toward inspection. What happened back on Saturday afternoon? We'll turn back the clock and show you qualifying. Standridge in turns 1 and 2. The sway bar breaks on his Ford Thunderbird, cuts the right rear tire, and that car goes slamming into the wall. Look, the nose has been reconstructed. The back of the car has been reassembled. And so Billy Standridge and his crew have got to be very, very
gonna
excited
grab
about
another
the fact that
monster.
they're gonna get to
Be
go back
right
on the
back.
racetrack. Billy, you've got to be so proud of these 7 guys, we nicknamed them the Magnificent 7, who have reassembled this car without any sleep since Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I tell you, they're one heck of a bunch of boys. You know, they've really worked hard. They're dedicated, and but that's what it takes to do these kind of races.
Now, before the car was wrecked, you had a good first lap, but people are saying, well, why don't you just sit on your time? But NASCAR rules dictate that once the car leaves the garage, that first lap no longer counts. You have to go back out and qualify all over again.
Yeah, what happens, it's virtually like just bringing in a new car. They don't care that the car is once here. Once it leaves, everything goes away, even my old time and everything.
And talk about how good your crew is. Tell us what the car ran before and what it ran just a moment ago in the final practice.
We run, in the final practice the other day before qualifying, we run a 48.46, and we run a 48.51 just a few minutes ago.
All right, so that's only about 0.005 of a second difference between the car when it was brand new and the car with primer and Bondo and no paint on the backside. Congratulations on you guys and your crew getting this car put together.
All right, well, thank you, Jerry.
All right, Billy Standridge will go get in line for qualifying. Of course, we want to talk about some of the other stories involving here as far as some loaners being going on, some of the engines being loaned to people down in the garage here. You heard Bill Weber say some guys will re-qualify. Well, one of the stories involving loaner engines involves the pole car right here of Mike Skinner. The car, of course, owned by Richard Childress. Now, what happened is, you have friends in this business, and no matter how much you want to beat people, competition is important, but so is loyalty. So the engine that sat on the pole in this car has been loaned to Dave Marcus in the car number 71, who will drive that car, in qualifying. Also, Childress has loaned the motor out of the 3 car, the Dale Earnhardt car, to David Green, who's running for Rookie of the Year. Why? Because Green was there last year when they needed a relief driver for Earnhardt, and also Kirk Shelmerdine is the crew chief, longtime friend of Richard Childress. Other engines being loaned, Rusty Wallace is car number 2. They've loaned the motor to Jeremy Mayfield for the car number 37. And as we told you yesterday, Brett Bodine has leased the entire engine package that qualified 5th for Bobby Hillett. Just some of the stories that are going on here in the garage area. And Bill, Dave Marcus has got to be awfully excited about having the pole-winning motor in his Chevrolet.
Dave Marcus is one of the most respected men in the Winston Cup garage area. You work extremely hard, and you often get rewarded for that. You obviously have here.
Well, I believe we have. I mean, Richard Childress came by and said, hey, we're taking that engine out of Mike's car. NASCAR's inspecting it. As soon as they're done, it's going in your car. He said, get yours out. So, I mean, what more can you ask for? I mean, his guys, his team, even on Mike Skinner's team, they come over there and help. One of Mike's guys came over and was helping us do some aero stuff on the car and found that we had our spoiler a little too high in the deck lid. So we got to move that too. So that's a help too. So, I mean, it's great.
Have you been able to get out on the track with that package?
Yes, we ran one lap this morning with everything cold, and we ran about 4 or 5 tenths better than what we had the other day. And, of course, not a lot of practice this morning, and when practice ended, only a half-an-hour break from the end of practice to qualifying, so we couldn't practice too long, but we feel like probably today we can run a 48-10 or a 20, something like that, and I think that'll make the show if you do have problems in the 125.
Good luck, Dave.
Thank you.
Now up to the booth to Bob Jenkins and Benny Parsons.
What a difference a day makes. Bright sunshine, nice weather here today, unlike yesterday. Now, I know the weather was bad for the drivers, but for you people at home, this is going to be a great afternoon. 3 different qualifying sessions, 3 different series. May be good for the fans at home, but for the drivers, maybe a little bit of pressure.
Those guys are so nervous.
Round 2 qualifying.
Trying to qualify those 13 fellas. They really need to pick their speed up. They're not
I think
qualifying
they
for the Daytona 500.
got the choice of rerunning and bettering the temperature of their time,
But if you have trouble,
so that if they have trouble in the
then you have to fall
125s.
back on
Yes.
revert to your qualifying speed. They'll take 8
What's
cars.
he saying?
8 cars from their qualifying speed, and you see there's the first 15 cars. Those cars solidly in the field. Then we go to the 30th place. Now these 2 cars, Sterling Marlin, Kenny Schrader, they'll requalify. They are afraid that if they have to revert back to that speed, it will not make it in the field. We see Kyle Petty's going to requalify. Standridge, Lake Speed, Mayfield, Shepard, Pearson, Musgrave, Bodine, all those cars going to requalify, trying to establish a faster speed to fall back on. Also, David
Mike
Green,
Wallace
Dave Marcus,
isn't gonna
and Joe
requalify.
Nemechek did not even get a qualifying speed on Saturday.
Well, the first car to attempt a second-round qualifying is out
think
there.
my
It
dad
is
is
Jeremy
helping the
Mayfield that we
91
talked
this
with
race.
just a few minutes ago, and he has a loaned engine in that
My
car. We'll see if he can pick up the speed.
Husband at
from
the time
his
was
effort
working
on
with
Saturday.
Bodine QVC.
Jeremy Mayfield qualified at 186.1.
I was here
38th
for the
quick on
race.
first round.
38th quick, and last year, you know, there are 4 provisionals available, and that's based on last year's point standings, and the 37 car finished where in points?
35th.
35th, so they're afraid that a lot of the cars between them and the front will be needing those positions, and they'll not have one available to them.
That completes lap number 1 for Jeremy Mayfield. Again, it'll be 2 laps of qualifying, and the second lap will undoubtedly be the faster because the engines are getting revved up about then. Currently 39th, Benny, on that first lap, 48.242, 186.559.
But that is about a quarter
First
of a second
lap's a
faster than his
momentum
first
lap
lap on Saturday
anyway.
afternoon, so it looks like he may have a good lap going.
Let's go down to the pit area, Jerry.
Guys, we mentioned David Green, who qualified 47th on Saturday and borrowed a motor from Dale Earnhardt. The motor, he qualified 10th. But, David, that's good news. But the bad news is the car didn't pick up much in practice.
That's true, Jerry. It hadn't responded, but, you know, Richard Childress' guys are over there trying to fine-tune that thing for all it's got, and we appreciate that opportunity because this is going to give us some knowledge now where exactly our problem is. So thanks to some good buddies like Richard Childress and Dale Earnhardt, but we're going to go out there and give it one more shot, and after that, we'll just get geared up for the 125.
All right, the car body may not be good enough for the engine to be able to help, so that's what you needed to know, though.
Well, exactly, and, you know, here at Daytona with the restrictor plates and the wind and all that, you never know what to fix and what to bend here and there, but at least this way we know we've got a good top 10 engine underneath this hood, and we'll see what happens today.
All right, good luck to you, David. Jeremy Mayfield completing his qualifying run, guys.
And a very, very good lap. 48.016, 187.438 miles per hour. That's almost 35 hundredths of a second faster than he qualified on Saturday, and puts him where, Bob?
It's the 19th fastest run overall in qualifying, considering first round. Back with more in a moment. In second round NASCAR Winston Cup qualifying here at Daytona. There is Jeremy Mayfield's second round speed. It's 187.438, and that is 19th fastest overall.
And once again, that's all the qualifiers. We'll insert these cars in there and show you where they're going to stack up. He will start 39th. The graphic you saw just before we went to break, he will start 39th in the qualifying races unless someone else comes in and beats him, and then he would start 40th, because all the cars that don't requalify will start in front of these fellas.
That's correct.
Hope we haven't continued.
All right, Dave Marcus now on the racetrack. Let's see what he did in first round. His best lap was a 48.609, 185.151. That was his best lap, his second. And so we will compare the first and second laps for Dave today. Let's go to Jerry again.
Well, Jeremy, 0.3 of a second faster at 48.016 seconds. How much of that was the motor you borrowed?
Man, a lot. I tell you, we'd already done everything we knew how to do to make the car go fast. And, yeah, I can't say enough about the Penske group over there. Rusty and all those guys helped us out. Didn't really have to do it. They did it. And I think that's fast enough to get us in a race and something happens on Thursday. But we're real happy with the time we had just then.
Now can you take a deep breath that you've gotten the speed up a little bit? You can go out through that qualifier and maybe use your head. And some of the guys thinking they're going to have to be a little risky out there.
Yeah, that was the situation we were worried about, especially when you're 35th in points and some of these guys don't have any points. And it was going to make it Thursday pretty interesting. But now we can kind of sit back and relax a little bit. And if we do run bad or get in a wreck, at least we got something to back us up here.
All right, go to Kmart, have an RC, and relax. Jeremy Mayfield picks it up by 0.3 of a second, guys.
And Dave Marcus is faster than he qualified at Saturday.
Yes, he ran 48.820 on his first lap Saturday. First lap here, 48.519, so 0.3 of a second. Takes the checkered flag. And we'll see where that will, how much he picked up. 48.303 on today's lap. And that was about 0.3 of a second. 48.303, 186.324 miles per hour. Where would that stack him up?
And that, according to my calculations, puts him 35th fastest. But he did pick it up from Saturday. So Dave Marcus has qualified for the second time in second round. And now we get set for our next qualifier. But let's go to Sterling Marlin first, who's with Bill Weber.
And Sterling, 28th in the first round. Have you improved your qualifying package?
Yeah, we found a bunch of things wrong. I think if nothing goes wrong, we run about a 70 or 80, somewhere right in there, and get ready to race. You know, we didn't really do the full-blown qualifying deal, but just wanted to, come out and lay a pretty good lap down and see what we got.
A lot of guys in front of you obviously stood, and so did some guys behind you. Why did you decide to go again?
Well, we just wanted to, kind of got our feelings hurt first day, so I want to run a good lap.
Okay, good luck. It's not just a matter of speed down here. Sometimes it's personal pride on the line, guys.
And that's exactly right. He said that if they ran a 47, he's talking about a 47.80, that would put him somewhere around the top 10 fastest cars.
Well, Ken Schrader has gone on to the racetrack in the Skoal Bandit car number 33. On Saturday, he could muster a 48.238, best lap 186.575. That was 29th fastest after first round.
And the concern that they have, Andy Petrie and Kenny Schrader, they were 29th last year in owner points, and that's the taking provisionals. They're just afraid that 4 cars in front of them would have to use a provisional, so they want a faster speed to fall back on. Folks, this is the most nerve-wracking day in the history of mankind.
Well, Kenny is way up against the wall there in the third turn, getting his car up to speed as quickly as he can, and now he comes down and takes the checkered flag and begins his 2-lap qualifying run.
It's a green flag, Bob.
Oh, what'd I say?
Checkered.
Did I really?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see where Dave Marcus fits in the overall speed chart. And it would be 32nd with a 186.324. And Jerry is with Dave Marcus.
Well, Dave, borrowing that motor from Skinner, 48.303, you picked up 0.3 of a second. It put you 32nd overall in speed.
Well, you know, we were hoping for a little bit better, but I mean, that's certainly an improvement. 3/10 more to work on. You have to fall back on a time to make the race. But, you know, I just want to thank Richard Childress and all Mike Skinner's guys. They came over and helped us, took the engine out of Mike's car. I mean, it's great to have friends here like that. I mean, it really means a lot.
Now, what will you do on 125 qualifying day? Will you use this motor? Will you borrow another RC motor? I mean, you're going for a 30th consecutive start at Daytona 500.
I'll leave that up to Richard. Whatever he decides is best for us to do, that's what we'll do. I don't know if that'll be this engine or a different one.
Dave, good luck to you.
Thank you.
A lot at stake for Dave Marcus. What about that history? 30 years in a row, if he makes it here, he's been in the Daytona 500.
Kenny Schrader has picked up his speed from his first lap on Saturday.
Yes, he did. First lap Saturday.
That is a wow.
48.54 today, 48.32. That's about a quarter of a second faster. If he could continue that, he would pick up, go to about 48 flat, and that would put him about 20th overall, maybe even a little bit better than that. Here he comes.
Second round qualifying. Last time, 2 days ago, I did first round qualifying in the Busch Clash. So this is second round on Saturday. Same weekend as the Clash.
069, 187.231.
And that picked him up considerably. He was 29th fastest, and he would start now 40th in the qualifying races.
And that puts him, I think, 23rd fastest, right behind Jeff Gordon. So a good run for Kenny Schrader. He's improved and is in pretty good shape now for the 125s and the Daytona 500. We'll be right back with more from Daytona. Well, here is Sterling Marlin, the two-time winner of the Daytona 500, set for second round qualifying Saturday. Best lap 48.233, 186.594.
And his first lap about 48.50. Here he comes off the corner, coming down for the white flag to complete that first lap. And we'll see if he's faster today. So far, all the cars that have qualified have been 0.3 of a second faster than they ran on Saturday.
First lap for Sterling Martin is a 48.534, 185.437.
Uh-oh.
A little slower,
That's a little slower than he actually ran on Saturday.
So he did not pick it up now.
So whatever they're doing in their qualifying package is not working. They feel like they're going on 47.70 and ran 48.50. Now he might pick it up, but he's still going to be at least a half second slower than he anticipated on running.
One of the big questions all month for this team has been what's wrong with the Runt-Pittman motor, because normally, especially on a restricted track, it is fast, but that has not been the case for Sterling Marlin here in 1997. Second lap time and speed report coming in for Marlin. It's a 48.289, 186.378.
He actually slowed down a little bit from Saturday's time. 186.378 today and 186.594 on Saturday. But you know, it could not possibly the engine be the problem. It might be the aero package, something, just a fender or a front bumper, something, the windshield, anything could change just a little bit.
Jerry Punch is standing by with Ken Schrader.
Well, two of the guys will be on RPM tonight. Kenny, you and I, and of course, I'm not requalifying. You are. Not a bad effort for you. 48.069, 187.231. Pick up about 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, well, we really needed it. You know, we were 29th overall, and I think maybe we'll wind up 24th or 5th now. And it seems like 26th is that safe cutoff place. That's what Elmo always told us, at least. And so we need to get up in the qualifying list.
Is there more left in the car, or do you feel comfortable now that you can sit there in the qualifying race and basically just work on what's going to happen next Sunday?
Believe me, I'm ready to get a race set up under it. What they're doing for qualifying, what all the cars are doing, not a whole lot of fun. So we're ready to get the qualifying set up, or race set up under it, and see what we got.
All right, Kenny, thanks a lot. Schrader, 23rd overall in qualifying. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Ted Musgrave was 44th on Saturday. Not your favorite number.
Maybe knock one of the fours off and it'd be all right, but you know, like I say, I don't know what happened yesterday. We just couldn't get going. Don't look like we're getting a lot better, but we did improve somewhat today. And the thing I'm worried about, every now and then we get a good gust of wind, just one good gust of wind down the backstretch, and it'll be all for nothing. But I'm going to go down swinging.
You just said your time this morning, you're not really sure how good it was because of all the traffic on the track and the weather conditions.
Yeah, a lot of traffic out there, like I say, and the wind dies down, then it picks up, and
you know, where we're at, we got nothing to lose. Like I say, heck, we got to go try something. You know, I just don't want to sit in the garage and say, boy, I wish we would have done it.
You guys raced real good last year, but a similar situation in qualifying.
Same thing. You know, the car ran real good in the Clash, you know, real good in practice. But like I say, when it comes to qualifying, we just can't get going. But we don't qualify during the 500.
Good luck. All right, Lake Speed is on the racetrack, and he was the fastest second-round qualifier last year here at Daytona. Let's take a look at the fastest overall now from 16 on, reflecting today's qualifiers. Now, this does not indicate the lineup, how they will line up for the 125. This is the list they will use if they have to go back and check the qualifying speeds.
They're exactly right. We see Mayfield and Schrader have requalified today. And we go back, we got to go back to 32nd to find Sterling Marlin in 34th. Now Marcus has been dropped back to 34th. Fastest overall. These are overall speeds.
Sterling Marlin was 28th after Saturday's qualifying round, but he dropped back because he was slower today. Let's see what Lake Speed can do. Lake Speed on Saturday.
First lap was 48.60 on Saturday, 48.60 seconds. We'll see if he's able to run a little bit faster.
He ran a 48.309 second lap, best lap on Saturday.
Wow. Wow. Did he pick up on the, look at this on the first lap, 48.099, 187.114 miles per hour, and he has another lap to go.
Wow, that is really picking it up. So Lake Speed has a good run going here in the Harry Melling entry. This was Saturday's qualifying speed for him, 35th fastest.
And Mayfield was 48.016. That's quickest today. Lake Speed, as you said, last year was second round fastest. Might be again to this 1997.
And he's even faster on lap number 2. 47.831, 188.162.
Wow. He picked it up from 48.28 to a 47.83. So about 4/10 of a second, this 9 car was faster on second round.
Wow, he is 10th fastest overall. 10th fastest overall for Lake Speed. A good run in second round qualifying. Chevy Monte Carlo, Ford Thunderbird, Pontiac Grand Prix. These are the pride of Detroit in the Nascar Winston Cup Series. Open the stable and let out the 358 cubic inch engines, and you have an excess of 725 horsepower, pushing 200 miles an hour. So we pull in hard on the reins and slow them down by adding a restrictor plate. The 14-to-1 compression ratio now cranks out 450 horsepower at 6,800 RPMs. These stallions really run. But be careful, the rules are strict. Your 110-inch wheelbase car can be no lower than 51 inches at the roof, front spoiler at 3.5 inches off the ground, and the frame rails at 4.5. The fuel cell, 22 gallons, and NASCAR approved. And with a 4-speed standard transmission, your 3,400-pound stock car races at 190 miles an hour in the draft.
And there we see David Green on the racetrack. First lap for David, 49.045 seconds, 183.505. That's a little bit faster than he ran on his first lap on Saturday.
Overall, his best lap on Saturday was 48.841, 184.271. We're going to know here in just a second whether he was better or worse than last Saturday. Looks like that he did go faster. Yeah, he's better than Saturday. 48.670, 184.919.
But that's still, and currently the 44th, folks, that's where he'll line up in the qualifying races. Currently on Thursday afternoon, he would be on the second qualifying race, 11th row.
Bill Weber standing by with Brett Bodine.
And Brett 45th after first round, but you have gone after some help to improve your second round chance.
Yeah, we went ahead and got an engine out of Bobby Hillen's 5th place qualifying Ford from the Jasper team, and it seemed to help us this morning. We've just got to lay down a good time right now when it counts in qualifying.
You're one of the guys that really does need a good time here.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we're too far back in owners' points to count on a provisional, and we've got to lay down a good speed so that we can guarantee ourselves being in the 500.
Okay, he's looking for speed, and Dr. Punch is with lake speed.
I found speed. We're talking about lake speed, and boy, did you find some speed. Almost 0.6 of a second over what you ran on Saturday. 47.831, 188.162. That would have put you 10th quickest in first round qualifying.
It sounds an awful lot like last year. We kind of did the same thing down here. Came down and just the first round, you know, we just didn't have our act together, and the guys just put their head to the grindstone and just went to work. And I can't say enough about this meddling group here. We've gone through a lot of adversity, you know, losing our sponsor that we thought we had for this year, and they've just kept their morale up and said, hey, look, we believe in this team. We're going to go out here and see if we can't kick their behinds before it's all over. And you know, when we came down and started practice the first day, we said, uh-oh, we're in trouble, because we'd run real fast after the first round of testing, and thought so much so we thought we didn't even need to come back for the second round. And they did the rule change on the spring rates and all that stuff, and it about bit us. That first round of qualifying, we just didn't have it figured out, but the guys have come through now, and through Sunday and yesterday in the rain sessions, we did a lot of brainstorming and a lot of figuring, and made a lot of changes to the car for this morning. And first pop out, we were real fast. Winds picked up and slowed us down. We could run faster than that, I believe.
All right, Lake Speed trying to be fastest second round qualifier for the second year in a row. He's got him something for to shoot at, 188.162. And guys, they still don't have a sponsor on this car. They are still looking. So we'll follow up that story a little later on in the day.
Hey, Punch, why don't you sponsor him? Jerry Punch on the side of the car looks real good.
How about Benny Parsons, former Daytona 500 winner? That would look nice on the car, but I'll tell you.
Too wordy, Jerry. It's way too wordy.
Oh, too wordy? Okay. All right.
Here's how they line up overall in speed. Lake Speed clocks in with the 10th best, and boy, does he wish he would have found that on Saturday. Jeremy Mayfield, who qualified in second round, is 20th. Ken Schrader is 25th.
And we'll go back to the 31st, and we'll find other cars. Again, the yellow dots signify the cars that have qualified today. There we see Sterling Marlin is now 33rd. Dave Marcus is 35th, and David Green, 41st fastest overall.
All right, on the speedway is Ted Musgrave, and his first lap is 48.614, 185.132. His best lap on Saturday was 48.499, 185.571. And here's a guy who isn't in real bad shape in terms of provisionals. Their team finished 16th in the points last year, so he would have that to fall back on maybe, but he wants to find more speed out there.
And again, he wants to start up as far as he can in the Daytona 500. Where you finish in the qualifying race reflects where you will start in the Daytona 500. So Musgrave wants to get up front as far as he can in the qualifying race and finish up front and start the Daytona 500 in the 5th row or 4th row or whatever, if possible.
Musgrave and Brett Bodine qualified at exactly the same time in speed last Saturday. Here's Ted Musgrave's second lap. It's 48.392, 185.981. So he improved from Saturday.
About a 1/10 of a second. He ran a 49 in his second lap Saturday and a 39 today, so he picks up about a 1/10 of a second.
And that puts him 40th fastest overall, although 44th in terms of the starting lineup for the twin 125s on Thursday. We'll be right back. Shepard is on the racetrack for second round qualifying. NASCAR online at www.nascar.com provides you with the most recent and complete information about NASCAR, and it comes direct from NASCAR. Features include information on all 12 NASCAR divisions, track and event information, up-to-the-minute qualifying and race results. It's the NASCAR website at www.nascar.com. Okay, let's see what Morgan Shepard can do in the Delco Remy America Pontiac. 48.398 was his best speed on Saturday, 185.958. He's about to complete his first lap.
His first lap was a 48. He actually did not pick up a lot on his second lap on Saturday afternoon. Unlike most cars, they picked up about 0.3 of a second. He only picked up a 1/10. So what did he do on the first lap? Is he faster?
48.920, 183.974. He is considerably slower than Saturday.
Considerably slower, yes. About a ½ second slower than he ran on Saturday. Wow.
That is not good for Morgan, who came here without sponsorship, and they found Delco Remy sponsorship and several associate sponsorships. And everything is looking pretty good for Morgan except the speed that he's getting out of this car today.
Where did Richard Jackson finish in the NASCAR Winston Cup point standings?
19th.
19th. So
yep.
Maybe you'd have a provisional in case he would have trouble in qualifying. You'd think that Morgan Shepherd, with his experience, could finish, you know, in the top 15 in the qualifying race on Thursday afternoon, and that's where basically he'd have to finish.
48.635, 185.052. A very disappointing run for Morgan.
Yes, he's about 9/10 of a mile an hour slower than on Saturday.
Joe Nemechek is getting ready to go, right, Bill?
Walking down pit road now. The car has just been pushed out, and it has not been a fun couple of days for you.
It's definitely been tough, you know, for the whole Bell South Mobility team. Can't say enough about Team Sabco. You know, everybody kind of grouped together and is trying to help us get through. We just can't figure out, you know, our car's been kind of inconsistent, and put a new motor in, good motor, but car's just kind of acting funny right now, but we're going to give it our best shot.
Did you make a recent motor change, one this morning?
Well, we made one after first round qualifying when the motor broke during qualifying, and this morning was the first time we got to practice it, so we're just hoping for the best right now.
I know this is your primary focus, but obviously your Busch car is running quite well.
Busch car is really fast. The Bell South Mobility car, I think we definitely have a shot at the pole. It'd be close between a few cars, but we're just looking for a good day.
Well, good luck on both of them.
Thank you.
And don't forget, the first round of Busch Grand National qualifying is coming up right after we get finished with second round Winston Cup. And then following the Busch Series, the NASCAR Goodies Dash competitors will follow the 2.5 miles around on the clock. Here is Brett Bodine moving on to the racetrack in the close call phone.
I was watching them interview Joe. And Andrea was in the background and talking to a guy named Sam that had worked on our car at Spam. I was there. He was our jack man. That was kind of cool.
And stuck it in this car. And Bobby Hillen ran a 189.111 miles per hour. That was good for fifth on Saturday. Well, let's see what Brett Bodine can do with that same exact engine package.
Boy, I remember last year when he came to Daytona, and on the very first practice session, the car caught fire and burned to the ground, and he struggled from that. Here once again is a review of the overall speeds. This is the chart that will be used to revert back to after the twin 125s are over. Today, Jeremy Mayfield is clocked in with 20th fastest speed. Ken Schrader with 25th fastest.
The yellow dots once again signify the cars that have qualified today. Sterling Marlin 33rd, Marcus now is 35th, and Morgan Shepherd 42nd, and David Green 43rd.
All right, Brett Bodine on the backstretch now.
His first lap on Saturday's qualifying was 48.670.
And his second lap was 48.499, exactly the same as Ted Musgrave's best on Saturday.
We'll see what his first lap will do, and that will give us an idea of what his overall qualifying is going to be.
White flag out, indicating the first lap completed, and one more to go for Brett Bodine. They finished 27th in the owner points last year. If you're keeping track of the possible provisional starters, his first lap is 48.381. 186.023. Better or worse?
That's 0.3 of a second faster.
That's Junior Johnson's, one of his
than he qualified on Saturday, his first lap.
Yeah, in fact, it's faster than his second lap on Saturday. So if he can pick it up another quarter of a second, 0.2, 0.3, he's going to have a real good run for himself. Multicolored car. 11 is a little difficult to read. It's in silver, and it's not easy, but get to know this car by the other colors on it. Here's the checkered flag, and Brett Bodine completes his second round qualifying run.
Especially the door numbers, they're very difficult to read. Roof numbers not so bad.
I'm in Florida. It's super warm right now.
187.052.
This is 97 second round qualifying, and after this I'll do the 125s. And if I have time, I'll do the goodies.
And that puts him, according to my statistics, 23rd fastest overall. Currently 42nd when you line up the twin 125s. Back in a moment. Live to Daytona International Speedway and second round NASCAR Winston Cup qualifying. Right now, Joe Nemechek is on the line. He's fired the car up and pulls away. In the meantime, we're going to go down to Bill Weber, who's continues with Kyle Petty. What's he wearing in terms of a uniform today, Bill?
I don't know. He's got on he is a generic driver today. You have more fire suits than anybody I've ever seen. Now, where's the real one?
This is a real one, man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a best dress thing. You only wear it once, be seen in it, have your pictures taken, throw it away.
Yeah, give it to charity and somebody else bids on it.
This is my NWO uniform. This is my Busch uniform because I'm coming out of the Winston Cup car and going to Busch qualifying.
Okay, 32nd, obviously, in the first round of qualifying, but with no points, no provisionals, can't take any chances.
No, you can't take any chances. Basically, all we're out here to do is try to improve on that. If we can improve on it just a 10th or 15 100ths, that's all we're looking for. If we don't improve on it, we gave it our best shot, and that's kind of the way we're approaching it.
Did your ESPN fire suit, which you were wearing yesterday, not bring you good luck?
It was slow, man. I had to take that thing off. That's a walking suit. That's not a driving suit.
Okay. Kyle Petty, Dr.
Walking suit.
Hey, you asked a minute ago, Benny, about Lake Speed's car. They don't have a sponsor on the car, so I went over to Mark Melling and I said, hey, Mark, Benny's interested in sponsoring this car. He's got some extra money since he's on that diet. There's actually a little extra meal money left over. How much? And Mark said, well, Doc, for Benny, a cool $100,000. You know, we figure $100,000 a race times 32 races, that's $3.2 million. That's what it costs for the year. But here's the good part, BP. Mark said he'll take your check. So come on down, big guy.
Yeah, right.
And watch it bounce all the way to the bank.
He
right?
could bounce it all the way to the bank. That's right.
Well, Joe Nemechek did not complete a qualifying lap on Saturday. He took the car out onto the racetrack, and as it was going down the backstretch, he lost oil pressure and brought it in. So this will be his one and only opportunity to qualify for the Daytona 500.
Nemechek comes off the corner. He takes the white flag, so at least he's got one lap under his belt. Robbie Gordon in a team car ran pretty well.
And Wally Dallenbach, of course, is his other teammate. Wally qualified 20th. Robbie Gordon was 12th on Saturday's activity. This is a Felix Sabates and Nemechek owned car. Mike Hillman is the crew chief. Bell South, the sponsor on the Winston Cup car. Bell South Mobility, his sponsor on the Busch Grand National car. Nemechek's first lap was 48.787, 184.475.
Pretty slow. And the 42 car finished where in points last year? Do we?
24th.
24th. So he would. Again, we keep talking about points and provisionals and what have you. Everyone just tries to take in consideration having trouble in a 125-mile qualifying race. Pray to God you don't, but it can happen.
48.474 on the second lap. He picked it up 0.3 of a second and moved up to 185.667.
So he is a 46th car to qualify, and that's where he would fit in, 46th, and he would start in the qualifying race, the second qualifying race, 23rd.
The odd-numbered qualifiers will line up in the first 125 and the even numbers in the second 125. So Nemechek is dropping it down to the apron and bringing it into the pit area. And a former driver for Felix Sabates waits to roll out in the Hot Wheels car number 44, the PE2 team.
My dad built Joe Nemechek's first Cup car. It was a white 87.
Right. I heard him
had
on your
red
radio
letters.
show last night.
And I think Lozito's was the sponsor.
He said he signed a couple of them, got so depressed he had a secretary start signing.
And that was in
See,
1993.
Kyle Petty's the owner and the driver.
I was there. I
Kennedy,
scored
that was his
actually that
crew chief
race,
last year
which
with
was
the
kind of
Sabates
cool.
team.
At New
Hot Wheels
Hampshire.
Sponsor, and it's a Pontiac. He's been with Pontiac many years.
And we remember Thursday when this car was able to get onto the track for the first time. Maybe it was Friday. He was grinding and sanding on it, trying to get it through inspection. Had the goggles on, and he was Mr. Fix-It.
I guess it got through inspection, but it wouldn't run. And he said that was a Kyle Petty invention. He had laid awake nights dreaming about what to do with the car, and so he said, we're going to do this, and it didn't work. So he had to be the one to take it off.
All right, on Saturday, 48.284 was his best lap, 186.397.
Pretty good lap he ran on Saturday.
Yep.
You hate to throw that one away. Well, look at those cars. There are just no shocks at all on those cars. And look at that right rear rub, that fender. Whoa.
There's his speed and time from last
If the
Saturday
body
that he's
is
trying to
compressing
better
down like that, which is great, it's out of the air, but if it's rubbing on the tire, it's not pushing the tire down
forces
as
the body
much.
down, and there's so much rebound in it, the shock
But
won't
that
let the car come back
happens
up. It just
a
holds
lot.
the car down next to the racetrack. And you can see just how rigid those cars are, and the shock's not working at all.
The tire up thing.
Lap number 1 is
Unqualified.
complete. Everybody's talking about the lack of
Boy, that's
passing in the Busch Clash on Saturday. They were out there drafting this morning. We got about a 15-car train, and they were doing some fine passing out there. So I think the twin 125s are going to be better, and the Daytona 500 than the Busch Clash. Here's his first lap, 48.570, slower than Saturday.
But it's a little faster than he ran his
Second
first
round
lap on
qualifying,
Saturday.
only the ones with the yellow box near their names when they show the tally are actually running the second time, and then it'll go into the
Picking
125.
up about 3/10, which would put him about exactly the same speed that he ran on Saturday if he picks up 3/10.
This is a new team, and of course that means that they do not have any provisional for this race. Checkered flag comes out.
Says do it
He
all.
can do 48.284, remember, was his best lap last Saturday.
Boy, this is nerve-wracking time for those guys. Great. Look, once again, he picked up 0.4 of a second between the first and second lap.
A better starting position in the
126.869
125.
miles per hour.
And that is 26th fastest overall. 26th fastest overall for Kyle Petty,
I
who's
think
completed
25
his
make it
second
on
round
time.
qualifying.
Or they said 15 make it on time.
Live from Daytona International
Yes.
Speedway here on the Deuce, and there is
Well, they
Billy
all got to
Standridge
run the
car.
125s
It is
except for
through
the
inspection.
first
It's
few.
been painted on the back, and it looks pretty doggone good.
Sure does. And Diamond Rio on the hood of the car. That's the Country Western group. Country singers.
The 15 car, the Buckmore Ford, is on the track, driven by Larry Pearson. 48.479 was his best lap on Saturday. 185.647. His first lap, 48.703. 184.794. Better or worse than Saturday?
That's 0.005 of a second slower than on Saturday. 0.005 of a second. So it's virtually exactly the same thing.
Yep. There's no sponsorship on this car.
He's already losing some water. The car is already it's too warm right now. It's just not going to pick up the speed. Once these cars get up and start kicking that water out, the block is so hot, they start losing some power. He might run a little bit faster, but probably will not pick up as much as he hoped to on that second lap.
Larry Pearson's second lap is 48.472, 185.674. And that is just almost identical to what he ran last Saturday. 7 thousandths of a second. Jerry?
Well, Kyle, 48.162. You picked it up 186.869.
Yeah, we needed that 15/100 the other day. I think we'd have felt a lot safer about it. But, you know, we gave it our best shot. Kind of hurt us yesterday when it rained a little bit because we had planned on qualifying every day, so we had one more thing we wanted to try, but we didn't really have a big opportunity. But hey, we'll take it. That's a decent enough time that hopefully that'll get us in a race on speed, and that's borderline. We're borderline right now, and we know that. And we come down here with no points, so we're borderline on that too. So we just got to get ready to race now.
You're 30th overall in speed. Now do you go back and look at what you have to do on Thursday? I mean, I know you stuck your borderline. Does it? Do you still have to push the button on Thursday and maybe take a few chances?
Yeah, you know, but we hadn't run in a draft yet, so I don't know what it's like out there, to be totally honest with you. You know, I hear everybody complaining about it, but the best thing you can do is just get your car to dry the best you can and say your prayers and hope everything works out.
All right, Kyle Petty, 30th quickest. We'll find out on Thursday whether he's going to make it in the Daytona 500.
Got a couple of more cars to qualify here in second round. The next car to go out will be Del McCowart in the Masters Economy Ends Ford, who was the slowest of all who took a qualifying effort on Saturday. He was at 50.416, 178.515. So as he waits to go out, we will take a break and come back in just a moment with more continuing coverage of Speedweeks 97 from Daytona International Speedway. We'd like to remind you that tomorrow on The Deuce, Fire on on ice at 7:30 as the San Jose Sharks take on the Detroit Red Wings. San Jose looking for a playoff berth, led by Owen Nolan, and Steve Yzerman leads the Red Wings. 7:30 tomorrow night here on the Deuce, the Sharks and the Red Wings. Okay, Del McCowart about halfway around on his first lap of qualifying.
You know, Del McCowart has been coming to Daytona many years, but 3 or 4 years ago they had a big wreck in one of his qualifying races, wiped out about 10 cars. Dillon finished 14th and made the qualifying race, made the Daytona 500 in the qualifying race.
Okay. Here's a white flag.
Boy, he partied then.
Delma likes to party, doesn't he?
Yeah, he likes he likes to have a good time.
He's a great musician in addition to being a good race driver. 50.325. He's faster than Saturday's best.
About 4/10 of a second faster. First lap on Saturday was 50.70, so about 4/10 of a second, but he's going to have to pick it up about 2 seconds to have a time to fall back on. He should have trouble in the qualifying race. He'll not be able to run in the top 15. Masters in the sponsor on his car, as you can see.
Car number 0 comes off corner number 4 onto the tri-oval, looking for the checkered flag, and we got one more qualifier after this. That will be Billy Standridge, who crashed during his run on Saturday, and the story that we have been following since. All right, second lap for Del McCowart is 49.861, 180.502.
So that's once again a little bit more than a half second faster than he ran on Saturday.
Well, we have questions regarding why didn't some of these guys re-qualify, and Jerry Punch will help us answer those questions.
Well, Bob, it's pretty simple. I don't know about everybody who didn't re-qualify, but the few that I've talked to are just like this guy right here, Jeff Burton. And the reason is this: they went out and practiced from 11 to 12 today, and they were no faster than they were on Saturday. That's the bad news. The cars weren't any quicker. Jeff Burton's car, the X-Side Ford, owned by Jack Roush, was 40th fastest on Saturday. They didn't run any quicker today, so why waste time trying to re-qualify? Why not work to get the car ready for the 125-mile qualifying race? That'll be their shot
Rambo in the
to get the car
background there.
in the Daytona
Young
500.
Rambo.
Behind me, the Jack Roush motor being pulled out.
Right there,
The Jack
you
Roush
see
motor
him,
going
dark
in for
hair.
practice as they get ready for the qualifying races.
Those twin 125s
sure
on Thursday are
it's a
going to be
little blurry.
very important as to whether or not you're in or out.
Well, that's right. There's 51 cars here. 51 cars, and they're only going to start maximum 43 cars. So 8 cars are going home.
Billy Standridge goes onto the racetrack and hopes to get the car into the field. He had a great lap on Saturday. His first lap was 48.300, 186.335. But then he came through the tri-oval and went into corner number 1 on his second lap of qualifying Saturday. And here's what happened.
Right in the middle of the corner, about right here, it looks like something, it looked like the car bottomed out, but he said that the sway bar arm broke, came off.
Oh, come on.
He ran over it
that's
with
the
a
old one.
tire, cut the tire, which caused the car to spin. Backed it in the fence. The crew took the car out of the racetrack on Saturday night,
and therefore that eliminated that first lap that he had.
That's right, and they fixed the car, put a new front, a new rear on it. There we see the deck lid on the car has not been painted, neither has the tail panel. I wonder if he's a little apprehensive about going in this corner.
I wonder.
Yeah, I hear you.
That right here is what happened.
Yeah, right. Well, everything looks okay as he comes through the second turn. It's painted, I guess, on the right side, but everywhere else it's not painted.
The nose of the car is, they also had to repair the nose. Looks like it has been repainted, but there you see the bare sheet metal in the back of the car. All new. And Cecil Tipton, he told us yesterday, Cecil Tipton, his body man, came down from Charlotte, North Carolina, and brought that quarter panel. Can you imagine a piece of luggage? Hey, I'm checking this piece of sheet metal as luggage.
And Jerry has a comment. Lap 1 complete, Doc.
Well, they had to also bring a template, BP. They took the car out of the racetrack. They wouldn't allow, NASCAR wouldn't allow them to take a template so they could fit the rear of the car. 48.910, we are told. First time by for Standards. Remember, he ran a 48.51 in practice. He hopes to pick that up about 4/10. But anyway, they loaded their template up in Thomasville, North Carolina. Folks, that's the large metal object that goes over the top of the car. They crammed it inside of the car owner's car, personal car, to drive it down here. They got to Jacksonville and jammed on the brakes, and the template broke the front windshield out of the car. That's the kind of troubles they have had the past 3 days. So it's a miracle they got on the racetrack.
That wasn't very funny when it broke the windshield out.
I'm telling you. Keystone Cops, but man. All right, let's see what he can do.
Needs to pick up about 7 or 8 tenths of a second to have a good time to fall back on, but what did he do?
48.638 BP, 185.041.
So he will start 49th in the qualifying races. He will start in the first race.
So they said this was the last qualifier.
So that concludes.
So the 125's the next.
Your math is better than mine.
This is the rundown.
Back in the second group, 16.230.
Boy, they went a little fast.
The fastest qualifier today, the fastest.
Stop.
And you know where he qualified in the 19?
Where 12? Somebody today. Oh yeah, Lake is the one that got up there.
96 Daytona 500.
Where?
Kent.
Son of a gun.
So exactly the same thing as 1996. So there you see the first 15 qualifiers and how they'll line up to be the last car to qualify. Musgrave is 40th fastest. And there we see Shepard, Standridge, David Green, and Del
with
McCallum.
the 91 for this race and the next
so
one.
he would start in the 25th position. He would start in the 13th row of the first qualifying race.
Okay, let's jump ahead.
I think so.
This should be the 125s. Yes, it is.
We at Gatorade are proud of our long-standing relationship with NASCAR through the sponsorship of the Gatorade 125s. The fans of NASCAR are the most loyal in all of sport, and Gatorade is extremely proud and excited to bring this thrilling event to all NASCAR fans.
What's he doing? You got go out? Okay. BRB. I'll let you guys start it. My puppy is asking.
Welcome to the Gatorade 125's 250-lap sprints to establish the starting field for the 39th annual Daytona 500. Race number 1 is about to begin here at Daytona on a perfect day. Take a look at this weather. Couldn't ask for better. 74-degree temperature, just a light easterly 8-mile-per-hour breeze here. The track temperature about 112. Let's meet the front row for race 1. Standing by now with Mike Joy.
No matter what happens today, Mike Skinner starts on the pole for Sunday's 500. You don't have to win this race. So is this a test session for you, or are you going all out?
This is a test session for the 500. You know, the shocks and spring package we got under here is a little bit different than what's in the other car, and we're going to test it in this 125 mile, and they're going to test what they're doing, and then the crew chiefs will get together and decide what we're going to do for both cars for the big race.
Good luck, Mike. He also has a fresh engine. They found a rocker arm problem underneath the hood this morning and changed it. A rookie on the pole, and right alongside not only a veteran but the defending champion of the Daytona 500, Dale Jarrett. You've worked hard this week trying to get this car to run like the one that won it all here last year.
Yeah, we've been trying a lot of things, and you know, I think that we're close to the setup now that we won with here last year. A few changes, obviously the cars are a little bit different. So today is a good test for us. We need, 50 straight laps to see exactly what our car is going to do, what we need to do for Sunday to win the race.
That's your Chevy Ford front row. Let's go deep in the field to Dick Berggren.
Two-time Daytona 500 winner Sterling Marlin had a real tough time qualifying. He, in fact, had 34 guys faster than he was. But you've changed the setup a lot. How good is it now?
We run real good yesterday, Dick. Just got to race springs, race shocks, and change motors, and we're as good as anybody. So we've got a long way to go, but we'll try to pick our way through here and get to front.
You'll need a drafting partner in order to do that. He said no pre-race plans. He said those things never work out. Let's go to Ken Squire.
Starting order for the first 125-mile qualifying race. Pole sitter, California freshman Mike Skinner, alongside two-time 500 winner Dale Jarrett. Row 2 is Bobby Hillen Jr. and Ernie Irvin. For row 3, it's Greg Sachs and the 86 winner, Jeff Bodine. In row 4, Dick Trickle and Jimmy Spencer. Row 5 is the 1990 Daytona 500 champ, Derek Cope and Bobby Labonte. For row 6, Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin. Row 7, the oldest driver in the field at 59, Phil Barkdahl and Rick Mass. Row 8, Robert Presley and Bobby Hamilton. The Burton brothers are in row 9, Jeff and Ward. Row 10 is Mike Wallace and Jeremy Mayfield. Row 11, Brett Bodine and the two-time winner of the 500, Sterling Marlin. Row 12, Ted Musgrave and Joe Nemechek. And row 13, Billy Stanbridge and Del McCoward.
Well, the field is made up of 16 Fords, 6 Chevrolets, and 4 Pontiacs.
$250,000 at stake in each of these 125-mile qualifying races. 26 cars to start, and we will decide the inside through 15 rows for the Daytona 500 in this event. Of course, the man on the pole is already assured his starting spot, Mike Skinner. But a great run for the Susanville, California campaigner would give him a real feeling of confidence going into the 500. Coming down to green, buddy. Get your heart pumping?
Yes, it does. And right now they're mashing the clutch in, giving it a little accelerator, cleaning the cylinders out, getting ready for the start of this 125.
Skinner brings them down with Dale Jarrett alongside. Row 2, Hillen and Irvin. Row 3, Sachs and Jeff Bodine. In row 4, you see Dick Trickle and Jimmy Spencer. Now this 1,900-foot short chute into the tri-oval. Pace car is in. And we're ready to go racing at Daytona. Under green in the first 125-mile qualifier.
You can see Mike Skinner got a good jump there, but Dale Jarrett's fighting back on the outside as they turn into turn 1 there. It looks like Jarrett wants to make himself known right now.
Back.
I think it'll be important
Just
to
in
try to
time.
get to the front, buddy, because it's difficult to pass, at least in the early stages, with these restrictor plate engines.
Up into the high gear now, down the back straightaway.
Car in the middle is 33 is rolling back
Just about turn 3
for a minute.
miles an hour.
That's the teammate, Ernie Irvin, just behind Dale Jarrett as they sweep into turn 3. You can see the teammates starting to work together as they go into turn 4.
And you see Jeff Bodine up from 6 into 3rd.
I came to college to learn, and I thought I was going to get into the whole
I was
Hall
like,
of
what
Fame,
happened?
but no, I got into fishing.
The last one didn't have no commercials. It
On
surprised
past
me.
the front line.
Bobby Labonte looks outside of Jimmy Spencer in that number 23 car a little further back. Run double wide down into turn number 1. Front 3 cars have Jarrett, Irvin, and Jeff Bodine pacing the field.
Yet I'm sure they'd like to stick right together right now. Maybe get away from this pack running side by side. These 3 cars, if they stick together, but these other groups, they seem to be able to hang on to the first 3 cars going down the back straightaway.
Well, that's interesting, buddy, because most of the time when cars get side by side, it really slows them down. And those that are singled out, like those first 3 are able to pull away, but
That's
they actually
better.
pulled up on them. You can see Jimmy Spencer there in the yellow car going around on the outside, and here comes Sterling Marlin from the back. He does not need a drafting partner. Yesterday is one of the fastest cars in practice. You can see him moving up right on the back of Ricky Rudd as they head down through the tri-oval.
And he's being challenged on the outside. That's Brett Bodine from out back going by. And coming right up with him, Jeremy Mayfield. Meanwhile, the pole sitter, number 31,
Oh boy, it
Skinner,
doesn't look good
dropping
now
back
for a
into
minute.
5th. Dropping to 6th now is number 31, Skinner. As the 23 moves through, and they stack them 3 wide in the back straightaway.
Ken, this is a very dangerous time right now. You see them starting to get 3 wide, and when you go into the corners, there's really only room for 2 lines, but you see them 3 wide as they go into turn 3. The middle car there, Bobby Hillen, is really in trouble now.
Okay, it's Bobby Hillen
in the middle, backing up quickly.
I thought it was the 33. It was
77
really hard
at a
to
good
tell.
starting position.
Let's see if I can clear it up some.
Bobby Hillin got hung up down on the inside, that inside lane. Mike Skinner got a good jump coming to the green flag, but then
Just a minute.
he didn't get on into turn 1 and 2 the way they needed to, and it held that inside
That's
line up. And there goes Marlin down. Ooh, that was close.
Still a little bit pixely.
The last thing you want in one of these races like this is to get where you don't have any help from front and back. So when you see them 3 wide like that, the guy in the middle is really at a disadvantage.
Hillin from 3rd back to 22nd in number 77.
Ken, they're turning laps about what they qualified, about 189.5 miles an hour.
Jarrett Urban
Sounded so much better in
Spencer,
97.
Bobby Labonte, Mark Martin coming by. Rick Mast up to 7th. Presley in 8th. Skinner in 9th. And that's Hamilton in the 10th spot. Looking back a little further, it's Brett Bodine on a charge up into 15th, trying to qualify and get himself into this race on Sunday.
The 4th car you see there is Jimmy Spencer. He loves this racetrack. He's got that car really smoking today. You see him in 4th spot, and he might be a contender in this race. I tell you, he loves this place. A previous winner here at the Firecracker.
There you see him, number 23, yellow and blue car in 4th spot, just behind Bodine in number 7. Look at this 3 wide. Mayfield pressed on the outside, Cope in the middle, and Rudd down on the bottom as they come 3 wide. Let's go to Nick Bergman.
Well, Mike Skinner, who started on the pole, has dropped well back in this race. His crew said he was just looking for a safe place to drop into line. His primary responsibility today, bring that car home in one piece. If he does, he will start on the pole of the Daytona 500. Just to be sure that happens, they flew Will Lind in, his regular spotter in the truck series where Skinner came from, and Lind is on top of the building telling him, cool it, be calm, don't bend that car.
Where you see that 31. Remember, it is the pole car. That has been established. Meanwhile, Brett Bodine further back has come up to 13th. And that 3 wide battle had Mayfield and Rudd and Cope all fighting for 15th spot. That last spot to make it into the Daytona 500. It's bumper-to-bumper competition among all the top 15, all the top 20 here at Daytona in this first 125-miler. Back with more in a moment.
Marlin on a roll from 22nd into 12th position in car number 4.
Ed, you can see right here, these cars that are not changing positions are starting to break away from the cars running side by side, and that is a good strategy in the 125. The first 5 cars there are really nose to tail and moving away from the other pack.
And we're talking about on the first lap or 2 that we were surprised that they were able to stay up there running side by side. Now the tires are getting heated up, and the car starts flipping around just a little bit, and that's what's allowing those 5 up front to pull away. And as long as those cars run side by side back there for that 6th position, that front group is going to push themselves that much more.
Coming around to complete 12 laps, 30 miles. Here's the dogfight up in front. You've got Dale Jarrett on the point. Ernie Irvin into 2nd. You've got Jeff Bodine in 3rd. Jimmy Spencer's right there in 4th. And Bobby Labonte holds on to 5th. Then you've got a 10-15 car
shedding a little bit.
And here comes the gang.
When this thing's going to get exciting, you see Sterling Marlin looking out there. He wants to go to the inside. Right now, he's kind of caught up in traffic, but if he ever gets up out of this group right here, he'll run that front bunch down, I think. He has a very good race car right now.
And he's into 11th.
And looking back from Dale Jarrett on to his teammate Ernie Irvin, and Mark Martin has broken himself loose from that pack back there and is now running the front pack down.
Martin needs to make. Mark Martin skipping up through now, going after that group of 5 that continue to lead this race from 12th position. Mark Martin in the white and blue, number 6, closes in on Jarrett, Urban, Bodine, Spencer, and Bobby Labonte to the line.
Once he broke loose back there, buddy, it didn't take him long to catch that group in front of him.
Yeah, he closed down some 20 car lengths in 1 lap. That's how valuable the draft is here at Daytona.
And here comes Rick Mast having a great ride in number 75. He too is cleared out of that pack. Mast back in 7th. Ward Burton in the number 22 runs in 8th. Jeff Burton, his brother, hanging right on to him in 9th. And Presley staying in the fight. He's right there in 10th. Here's Dick Burford.
Well, Robert Gates has 2 stopwatches, 1 in each hand. His cars are running in first and second position, and you talk to your drivers every time they come by. What are you telling them, Robert?
You know, Ernie's interested in what the lap times are, and, you know, just got to sit there because you can't really move. But 2 watches, I'm going to have them use 1 right now. I hope I can keep it that way.
Is there any game plan? Is there anybody that's supposed to finish ahead of anybody else? How do you do this?
I tell you what, we would have signed up for wherever we started, I'm sure. It's just tough racing. It'll be interesting as it gets on down there, start separating out maybe the better handling cars.
It sure will. Ken?
No team rules here. Nobody's supposed to finish one behind the other. Watch these 2 go for it up in front. Robert Gates cars first and second with Jarrett and Urban pounding down that 3,000-foot backstretch, leading this event for Ford and for Yates.
And now those front 6 are beginning to distance themselves a little bit from the 7th place car of Rick Mast. Even though that second group is single file, buddy, but they're still able to pull away just a little bit.
That's a good point. Now you see they're racing nose to tail just like the front group. They should be able to run them back down because the second group there has the advantage of the drafting up on the group in front of them.
There you see that interval back to Rick Mast, who continues to hold on to 7th with Ward Burton 8th, Jeff Burton in 9th. The battle for the bubble at the moment back there in 15th position is Jeremy Mayfield, the number 37 of Mayfield, and Sachs are having at it for that 15th spot. There's the 16 in it as well.
Ed Musgrave.
And he may have brushed the wall, they're reporting, on Musgrave and backed up a little.
Yeah, they had a little skirmish coming off of turn 4 a couple of laps ago. Greg Sachs almost lost it up there, and Musgrave might have gotten into the wall just a little bit.
Let's go back up with the leaders. Jarrett, Burton, Bodine, Spencer, joined by Bobby Labonte, and now by Mark Martin.
And Sterling Marlin now has moved up to 10th from his 22nd starting position.
For more on Sterling Marlin, let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, he just radioed into his crew, Ken, and he said, I need a drafting partner bad. His crew was very helpful. They radioed back, well, go find one.
That's exactly what he's doing right now. You can see just in front of him, he pulled down about 10 car lengths on the group that he's catching as we speak.
There's Richard Petty looking on. Got to be pleased with the way Hamilton has performed in the first part of this race.
Well, he's in position to be in the Daytona 500. He can stay there. He's currently running in 13th position.
He's backed up a little, actually. He was up as high as 8th as they continue to slug it out in that second group.
They got to stay in line.
That's Tim Brewer talking to those guys to stay in line. He's got Ricky Rudd right behind Sterling Marlin now. And then the 99 of Jeff Burton pulls down. Where's Jim? Del McCoward in trouble.
Oh, Jesus. Took us out. Because when he was running in 3rd, I was like, there ain't no way we finished 3rd. I'd have remembered that.
Bodine continuing. This in lap 18 onto pit road. That's not the way he wanted to enter the pits. Del McCoward getting loose, slamming into the side of Bodine. And there you have it.
His track position up.
He was running up there in that top 4.
I'm going to back up just a minute just to see that,
first caution in this event.
see who's in the pits, to see if we were with him on the first race. Pretty sure we were. Let's see. I already know him. Let's see if my ex is there. See if I'm back there. I'd usually be like back here, actually. So.
Del McCoward getting loose, slamming into the side.
I didn't see. I wasn't able to do.
His track position up.
He was running up there in that top 4. Here's Coward's car.
He was being lapped as they came off of turn 4, Dale McCoward.
Here's Mike Joy.
You see just in front of the left rear tire, the sheet metal has been in. The big damage way up at the nose where the air dam has been in, up, and under the car. That will create a lot.
Let's see now. That's Sam. If my ex is there, he would be like one of these guys behind the wall. He wasn't in over the wall with a QVC.
Front end lift.
Yeah, that's him. He's short.
Jeff Bodine to finish in the top 14 today. Here's Ralph Shaheen.
Dickie Williamson is the crew chief for Dale McCoward. Dickie, did he say what happened?
Yeah, he said when the leaders come around him, they took the air off his spoiler and he just lost it.
That can be a big problem with aerodynamics being such a key here today.
And there you see, lying in the grass, the car that brought out this caution flag, Dale McCoward's number 0. Camera looking back.
Well, you can see how close Dale McCoward and Ernie Irvin came together. And there you see they're trying to...
25-mile qualifying.
Oh, let's,
You've probably heard about Boxable's flagship product, the Casita.
Fine race. As you see them taking green with Dale Jarrett, Ernie Irvin, Jimmy Spencer, Bobby Labonte in the front 4, Mark Martin in 5th, and Sterling Marlin, who started 22nd in this race, now in 8th. Begin to string them out back under green. Restart after the first incident of the day. Keep your eye on Jeff Bodine to see what he'll do out of the back of the pack in this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars back there that have new tires on them, and normally, buddy, new tires will run faster here at Daytona than tires they've run 20 laps on those others.
The biggest problem they have right now, you can see the leaders are all single file, and they're running as fast as they possibly can. Back where you're 2 abreast like this, you're losing a half a second a lap to the lead cars, and if you lose about 30 car lengths, then the draft's gone for you. You can see right now Bobby Hamilton there has brand new tires on, but he's hung up in traffic.
Yeah, Billy Stanbridge in the 78 down at the bottom, but here comes Bobby Hamilton.
I think we had time to fall back on.
As he tries to peel through.
If
Dick Trickling, car number 90, Phil Barkdahl in the yellow.
He doesn't make it.
Just behind that,
now my dad's
Musgrave comes the number 7 of Jeff Bodine, who was back in 21st.
With the
Jeff Bodine has a car that's got some damage to the left side. As you can see, he's able to hang on to the draft. Very important.
I see him on the outside up high there.
Meanwhile, in the lead, it continues to be the 8th car, Jarrett and Irvin, 1 and 2.
There are 13 cars in this lead draft running in single file, so all of those, if they stay where they are, they're qualified for the Daytona 500. But there's going to be a real scramble for 2 more positions back there.
14th right now is
2 more positions. Okay, Mike Wallace is the car my father's with that week. This one
almost made it 3 wide going into turn 1.
He was 3 wide.
seems okay.
The hole, luckily, when he got there, it'll be halfway when they come back.
Leading the back.
Trickle on the outside, Uni Donlevy, number 90. And on the inside, that number 7. As they make their own war back there. Jeff Bodine trying to pace himself back up through the field. Look at Rudd hanging right onto the back of Sterling Marlin in 8th position. Rudd in 9th.
Now, Ken, that was a bad break for Jeff Bodine, who was running up there in 4th place. But if he doesn't get back up in the top 15, he still had a good enough qualifying speed. He'll get him the Daytona 500.
They take the next 8, and then they go to provisional starters after they finish these 125s to give us the field for the Daytona 500. Sunday at noon on CBS.
You can see Jimmy Spencer sitting there in 3rd right now, using his head, Ned. I think in the past 2 years, Jimmy Spencer has matured as a race car driver. He really drives that race car the right way now instead of wild and maybe making people a little uncomfortable in traffic.
I think he's matured a lot. Here's Sterling Marlin starting to make a move. He came up on the outside of Ward Burton. Ooh, they get off their close there. Now Marlin moves up into the 6th position. He's found him a groove up on the outside. He's got that Chevrolet on the move now.
He also has some help. Ricky Rudd helped him get by there. They drafted along there. Now Ricky should move right back up on the back of Sterling Marlin. I think Sterling needs somebody behind him to make the car really good.
Rick Mast and that number 75 falling off a bit after a great run. First 15 laps. Oh, Bobby Hamilton up. A little too high that time in the 43.
He might have gotten into the wall, Ken. He slowed down, certainly, or he might have, maybe something happened to the car and he pulled up there, but he definitely has a problem.
There's Bobby Hamilton, the Richard Petty Pontiac, number 43. Looks to be in trouble. It's dropped down on the apron now. Was running in 14th at the time. And down to the inside comes Sterling Marlin in number 4. He's under Mark Martin as they come down into turn 1.
You can see Ricky Rudd working with him. Mark Martin's fighting back on the outside, but Sterling Marlin has a drafting partner right now. He should be able to move right on by.
Ford staying first and second. Jimmy Spencer right there in third. Wow.
Martin had the run off the turn, was able to pull back in front of Sterling Marlin, so that pass didn't work for Sterling that time. He'll have to get another run on him. Hamilton now coming into the pits in the car number 43, headed to the garage area, out of the race. His speed will not get him in the Daytona 500, but Bobby finished in the top 10 in the point standings, so he should be one of the first to have a provisional, so he should be okay.
Look at Bobby Labonte in the 18. Maybe the Joe Gibbs car. Right down on the bottom, trying to get himself a spot.
But Sterling Marlin moving up on the outside, and that's going to cost Bobby Labonte as those cars go by on the outside. Bobby was sitting there running in line with that front running group. He was in 4th place. Now he's back to about 9th.
With Ward Burton just outside of it. For more on Bobby Hamilton, the story from Mike Joy.
Richard Petty continues to sit on the pit wall. Richard, what happened to Bobby?
He said the motor broke, so that's all we know right now.
Frustrating day for the Petty team.
Lucky to save it. Broken motor right there. Collect that wall pretty easily.
And he was able to get it out of the line of other traffic, go to the high side, and Bobby Labonte went all the way to the back of the front running pack.
Good piece of work by Bobby Hamilton. Front of the field. Jarrett, Irvin, 1 and 2. Spencer and Martin, 3 and 4. Marlin and Rudd, 5 and 6. From the Budweiser blimp. Looking down at that 31-degree banking as they scoot around turns 1 and 2 and into the back straightaway.
Marlin picked up another position. As you watch that pack back in the back of the field.
Leaders coming back to the line. There you see him now in 4th, Sterling Marlin, becoming the man of the hour in this one.
I got a feeling Ricky Rudd right now has decided to work with Sterling Marlin up at the front there, and these guys are really picking them off. They moved into 3rd, 4th place already, and they're working together.
Marlin running in 4th, Ricky Rudd in 5th. Mark Martin's number 6 is 6th. Then the 22, that's Ward Burton in 7th, followed by Skinner 8th and Jeff Burton in 9th. All of those 9 in there together down the back straightaway as Marlin begins to pull up on Spencer.
Let's see what Marlin can do with those 3 Fords that have been up there all day. He's brought his Chevrolet from 22nd up to 4th place.
Well, I can show you how to get action. All I got to say is he ought to be real content to be where he's at. And probably pass him off.
Tim Brewer on the radio to Sterling Marlin there.
Tim gets excited. He's very animated.
You see Mike Skinner there in the high line going around the corner. He's
I got to work for Tim at the end of this year in 97 for, I think, after Bristol until Phoenix.
Tim Brewer saying you got to
I mean, I had a real full-time job, but got to do that too. I was lucky. I was back in the scoring days.
On the door.
I know how to figure him real good. Come on, Rudd.
Yeah, he's looking at his drafting partner.
There you go. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, but let's analyze this thing here a little bit. You got 3 Fords out front. Ricky Rudd's running the Ford, and that Chevrolet has come up through there. I think that they'll forget about the brand cars that they're driving. And what do you think, buddy?
You know, I've had teammates that I didn't treat any different, so I'm sure right now they're not going by a make-up car.
You got to be first. Ain't you, Larry?
Tim Brewer, crew chief on number 4, telling Sterling Marlin he's got to get around those 3 Fords. Hey, here comes a move. It's Martin going around Ricky Rudd for 5th, and Skinner is coming with him. Like Joy, Marlin needs a dancing partner.
Ken, there's a symbiotic relationship there. Marlin needs a car behind him to move up. Ricky Rudd needs a car in front to combat the really bad push that he had. Ned hit it right on the head. They made a deal before the caution flag that they would link up and work together.
But now Martin moves on the outside of Marlin. They're getting that outside line going and moves right around him.
But look who he has. Mike Skinner's teamed up with him there and moved with Mark Martin up towards the front here. I think that Mike Skinner's showing that sitting on the pole, he can race too. He's coming up through there now.
Yeah, Mike Skinner beginning to make some very impressive moves. He's into 5th.
And he was way back at the first of the race. He dropped way back there just to get him a comfort level. And boy, it looks like he's found himself for it. Okay, move on the outside of Mark Martin.
Martin pinned on the bottom. Marlin going with Skinner on the top. Boy, I'll tell you, Mike Skinner is impressive. 16-time winner in the Craftsman NASCAR Truck Series. Champion 2 years ago on that series. This guy is tough.
Now, Jimmy Spencer looked in the mirror and saw Mike Skinner coming. He moved his groove up about a lane there, and he knows that Mike Skinner has a very strong car, but he's got trouble on the bottom there because the car of Sterling Marlin has help now, and they should get right back by him.
Well, Mark Martin, thought he was going to go 3 wide there for a second, but he decided no, better not do that. Here backs off going into the turn.
This is going to let those leaders get a little bit of a break, but not much.
Second back's way
Blimp and
back.
its Eye in the Sky camera are proud to provide you with these live shots 1,000 feet above the Daytona International Speedway. A beautiful day at the track and at the beach. A beautiful day for Robert Yates Racing in 1st and 2nd place in this 125-miler.
CBS Sports presentation of the Gatorade 125s is sponsored by Gatorade, the official sports
Joe's
beverage
Crab
of NASCAR.
Shack
Life
pier
is a
there.
sport. Drink it up. Havoline Formula 3 motor oil. Add more life to your car. And by Goodyear, #1 in tires.
Spectacular day, spectacular racing in these 125-mile qualifiers for the Daytona 500. Dale Jarrett's in 1st. There's Jimmy Spencer in 2nd. Going 3rd is Ernie Irvin and Skinner back there in 4th. From Dale Jarrett's car, you're looking back at Jimmy Spencer having a very good race, holding on in 2nd spot. Jarrett, the winner last year, trying to make a 3rd Daytona 500 victory his on Sunday.
Irvin trying to move back down on the inside as they come off of turn 4.
Unbelievable battle in this first 125-mile qualifier.
See Spencer on the outside with no help. Look at Ernie Irvin just rocket by.
And Skinner coming with him. Mike Skinner from Susanville, California, right down on the bottom. The pole sitter, the surprise, the shock for the 500 is putting on some exhibition here.
Said you couldn't pass, huh?
Who said that?
Well, I don't know. That's what they were saying after the Busch Clash the other day.
Look at Jimmy Spencer fighting his way back into 4th. Let's check the bubble for a moment. Dick Trickle in 14th and Derek Cope. That's the number 36 in that 15th position. There you see him, former winner of this event back in 1990. Hangs right in there. Right behind him is Brett Bodine, and then comes Musgrave. Cope in 15th, Brett Bodine in 16th. That's where your struggle is for that final qualifying spot in this event. But the story is up in front. Love to cover that bubble story. That's always dramatic. But look at this battle up in front.
Ernie Irvin has a very, very fast car right now. He's looking Jarrett over pretty much right now. I know they want to keep this team thing going right to the very end, but they have to do something pretty quick because Mike Skinner is moving in on them.
Dale Jarrett, who had such a great line out of turn 2. He has such a great cut when he comes off that 2nd corner. But what I'm surprised about is Skinner. He's taking the long way around this track. That's not the Baker line. You always could find another 6 or 8 car lengths out here by staying down.
Well, what you try to do is run the shortest way around the racetrack, but you have to also go with the way the cars in front of you are drafting. Right now, they're moving up. That bottom lane may be getting a little bit slick, and maybe the fastest way is a little bit higher now.
To the inside, Ernie Irvin looks on Dale Jarrett. defending Daytona 500-mile champion. His crew chief, Todd Parrott, has to be chewing his knuckles at this point.
10 laps to go when they return.
I can tell you right now, if Jimmy Spencer can get with Mike Skinner, we're going to have a nail biter right here down to the finish.
Two veterans and the new kid on the block out here, 1, 2, 3. Jimmy Spencer. And as Buddy was saying, his driving style has changed so dramatically in the past year. Smooth and easy. But for more on Spencer, Ralph Shaheen is standing by.
Well, we're standing by with his crew chief, Donnie Wingo, who's down here. Donnie, what's going to be your game plan with 10 laps to go now?
We're just trying to stay in line right now, stay away from those other cars, and about 2 or 3 laps to go, see what happens.
Is he going to try anything with Skinner?
Well, I don't know. We just have to wait and see.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
The radios are jumping in Mike Skinner's pit for sure. Richard Childress has taken over, and he is coaching Mike Skinner. He's telling him exactly what to do. Meanwhile, they've been talking back and forth, the spotters have, about who to hook up with. And they're talking about Skinner trying to hook up with the 23. Skinner radio back.
Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
And there is your all-star cast leading in this first 125-miler. More in a moment.
I'm sandwiched between the two generations. I'm helping
Thank you
to
for the
give
follow.
caregiver responsibilities to my dad and then my son who's just out of college. So it's like, where can I put my money where it can grow a little bit faster? I found Wealthfront and let it work its magic. The cash account is more like, what will my dad need? And then the investment account is
Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Wrangler.
I don't use Discord too much, but I appreciate the
Time
follow.
to put your cards on the table. 9 to go. A couple of different leaders. 2 lead changes. Only 162 miles an hour after 4 laps of caution when Dal McCowart ran into the side of Jeff Bodine. He's been able to continue. Cowart KO'd. Getting down into the final moments of this first 125-mile qualifying race at Daytona. Deciding.
Let's see if I can do these.
15 rows and 2 125-mile races. This being the first, the pressure is right up in front.
And this is when you learn to look
There you
at
go.
the racetrack with your left eye.
I think
and the
that's
mirror
my
with your
Discord.
right eye to make sure you don't give anything away.
The speed, the lap time has picked up about 0.2 of a second since Irvin went out front, so he is a little bit faster than Jarrett was.
Mike Joy.
Ken, there's also a lot of pressure at that second pack. Jeff Bodine is 13th, Dick Trickle 14th, Derek Cope 15th on the bubble. Is there anything Jeff can do to pull his brother, Brett Bodine, in 16th place into the starting lineup? He's got 8 laps to figure that out.
Yeah, that Jeff Bodine story up there in the 13th position after he was tagged earlier by Dal McCowart. Great run by Jeff Bodine today. Trickle is 14th, Cope is 15th, then Brett Bodine is 16th.
Pretty sure that we're working with Bodine, and I'm working with, well, we're working with Bodine. My dad's working with Mike Wallace.
Meanwhile, take a look at
For
this.
sure.
It looked almost 3 wide as they each took a different line coming to the tri-oval.
7 to go on the first 125.
Right in there and move
Ernie Irvin
That's what you do here. That's just good hard racing.
Jarrett.
Doing some very good defensive driving there for a moment to hold on to this thing. Great comeback last year. 2 magnificent.
I was talking to Dad about this, and I had asked him, I don't think that Mike Wallace is going to qualify. And there was something about maybe wrecking his primary car, and maybe he hit the wall or something practicing, something up, and the car was not fast after. I mean, it appeared to race pretty good there for a little bit, but it's not fast enough to qualify for such an important race.
Ralph Shaheen.
Ken, Jimmy Spencer, former winner
I think
of the
they're
July race
leading
here,
the
suddenly now
second
got July
group.
kind of problems. His car has gotten very loose, and Donnie Wingo, his crew chief, has told him just to hang on, do the best you can.
Yeah, the threesome in front of him, Ralph is moving away from him. Ernie, Irvin, Dale Jarrett, and Mike Skinner beginning to pull away a little bit.
Jimmy Spencer almost hit the wall coming out of turn 4 just a lap prior to this lap they're on right now. That's how much you lose when you back out of the throttle to get control again.
What a performance by Skinner. 5 to go. Skinner was in one of these 125s back in '92. Came in 22nd, failed to qualify. One of those 2 hits
Me too.
Today, he's a solid third and ready to challenge.
Good to see you,
those forward for the
Hellraiser.
lead. Dick Berggren.
As bad as Skinner wants to go, his crew chief, his team has radioed to him, stay where you are. Don't bend that thing up. Third as is good as winning this thing. Meanwhile, here's Larry McReynolds down to talk to Kevin Hamlin.
I was probably at this race. I know for sure I was at like the Saturday, the goodies race and the cup race. If I came to this race, I would have drove down by myself in my car and then drove back to North Carolina. And I did that like so many times, so I don't know specifically if I was there for this race, like this qualifying part. I know I came down for the Saturday, Sunday.
He had to go. You could see the 28 car get a little bit out of shape there. That's all Skinner had to do. But somebody opened the door, he jumped right through.
And just for fun, I didn't have to work. I just went to it.
Team rules here. Urban tried to throw the block. Jarrett would have no part of it. 190 miles an hour, moved him over, went through, and brought Skinner with him.
It'll be 3 to go when they return.
I don't remember riding in the 7 truck too much.
For the Yates team, once again,
I remember riding in Lake's 9 Spam truck quite a bit because Jeff drove that one, but
You might have called him a freshman at the start of this show, but I'll tell you what, he's a veteran right now.
it was 30 years ago.
What a drive by Mike Skinner.
Oh, great. I went to Lime Rock because I was from Massachusetts. Originally, I came out of the New England modified side of things. My dad was a car builder, and then I lived up there, and we had a race car after I got married. My ex drove a late model for a while, and then I moved south and worked 2 years, 2.5 years in Cup, 96 and 97, scored a little bit here and there, scored for Nemechek in 93 one time when they were entertaining representatives. I went and scored for Martha. She asked.
Who's driving as good a race as I've ever seen him put down.
Okay, Spencer regrouped after he got loose coming
He
off
was
turn 4. You can see
QVC
he's
at
running
this
very well
race
right now.
and the year before, but my ex was driving his transporter. My ex-husband drove the big rigs, and so he drove for QVC.
There's the bubble. There's Derek Cope in that number 36, trying to hang on to this thing. White flag is out. 1 lap to go. Cope fighting off Brett Bodine in the 11. Meanwhile, the leaders go down into turn number 1.
Jeff Bodine qualified 11th on time,
Skinner in second. Urban is in third. Jimmy Spencer
but he's racing okay in this one. He wrecked kind of early.
The battle is among the top 3. Jarrett, Skinner, the new name to be reckoned
A little
with,
bit.
and Ernie Urban.
More like a spin,
Move down low on the racetrack to get that
avoiding
inside line
stuff.
going into turn 3. Mike Skinner is fighting very hard to close in. That looks like Jarrett
He was
has it
avoiding
stuck.
Del McCowart. Irvin took the air off his spoiler, and
Down the stretch for the final time in this first 50-lapper. As they come to the strike, it's
he ended up taking Bodine a little bit.
Mike Skinner in second spot. And the battle for the bubble coming to the line. It's going to be that number
Bodine.
36 right there in the 11 right behind him. Give it to Derek Pope in 15.
The Spam car didn't qualify. They missed it by 2.
You know pretty well.
Well, Todd Parrott and that entire crew, Steve Allen, and all of them, they've really worked hard on that car this week.
Look out. Daytona 500 Sunday. Can he win
All
it
those
3
young
times?
crewmen are so old
Dale
now.
Jarrett certainly looks
Like
out here in this
I am, I guess.
125-mile qualifier. Let's take a look at how Dale Jarrett took the lead from his teammate.
Ernie Irvin was leading coming off of turn 4, Ken, and whether his car slipped a little bit, Jarrett got a good run. Look how close they got together, but then Mike Skinner came along behind Jarrett and just gave him the push that he needed right on into the lead.
From Jarrett's in-car,
Okay, you can see Ernie Irvin coming off turn 4. The car is pushing right here. You can see him trying to get it. He checks up just a little bit. Jarrett drives to the inside. Just a little contact there, and not anything intentional. He goes right by and takes the lead.
At 190 miles per hour. And the finish. This is how they came to the line.
Of course, Jarrett kept it down on the inside coming through turn 4 and dipped right down to the inside to get the checkered flag.
Mike Skinner up on the outside, and another look at that. Super slow-mo as they come to the stripe. There's the 88 across. And second spot, way back for Daytona. He had to be a car length between first and second.
That's slow motion, pal. That's quicker than you can wink your eye.
Let's go to victory lane.
That's a building now.
Into victory lane, you're riding with the winner, Dale Jarrett.
I wish they didn't get rid of old victory lane, but
Dale Jarrett, a late move to win it. Did Ernie Irvin have a little bobble up there, or did you just get a good run?
No, his car was pushing a little bit, and he got off the white line a little bit, and it's just like mine would do if I would have gotten up there. So, I just was able to take advantage of that. My car really worked well out front. Ernie got a run on me there the one time and got by me, but I knew I wanted to get out front, but I wasn't going to jeopardize Ernie and I finishing first and second, but I got that run.
Anybody watching at home that thinks you folks are just riding in line out there, they're not seeing the real deal, are they?
No, there may not be a lot of passing going on, but I tell you, you're fighting it. Even when I was leading the race, I was having to watch behind me and really keep the car on the bottom. This is a slick racetrack, and it doesn't matter how good the cars are.
The quality care was nice.
25-mile win for Dale Jarrett.
My son actually runs that in iRacing sometimes. He runs the quality care. I think he said it was Lake Speeds. Old paint job.
The other drivers?
Back then, though.
Now, they were telling you on the radio to take it easy. Were you listening to them and behaving yourself or no?
Looks the same to me.
How about Sunday? How about the Daytona 500?
Well, we got a good car to start the race with, and we get through these next
I think he runs it on his Xfinity car.
We got a lot stronger engine for the 500 than we did for that race there. Had an unfortunate thing. They seen some stuff in the Oberg this morning they didn't like, and I told Terry Elledge, I said, I'm going to weld that engine in there. You ain't going to get it out, but darned if we didn't have to pull it out this morning. But this engine here did a good job. Gary Wagner, John Richardson, Terry Elledge, Spinny, all the guys at the RCR engine department, they did a heck of a job. And Kevin and the boys did a heck of a job getting this car right. We found the car's weakness out there today, and we'll work on it for Sunday and see if we can't make it a little better.
A stronger engine for Sunday, Ken? They found a weakness here? Oh, boy, hang on.
And the results on the first 125-mile
Jarrett
qualifier.
Skinner, Irvin,
Dale
Spencer,
Jarrett takes the checkers
Marlin,
with
and
Mike Skinner
Martin.
in second and Ernie Irvin in third.
Jimmy Spencer came home fourth. Sterling Marlin all the way from 22nd up to 5th. Mark Martin came home 6th.
Further back in the field, Ricky Rudd for 7th. Then it's Bobby Labonte and Ward Burton, Robert Presley, Jeremy Mayfield, Jeff Burton, all qualifying.
And here's where it really got close at the end. Jeff Bodine came home 13th, Trickle 14th, and Derek Cope made it into the field by coming home in 15th place. Then you see Brett Bodine, Musgrave, and Barkdahl.
And taking a look back through the rest of the field here as to how they came across at the end of 125 miles, 50 laps. And these days, it's hard to keep those Jarretts out of victory lane. Welcome back to a gray day at Daytona, but a glorious one for Randy LaJoie, who held off the yellow car of Todd Bodine to win the 300-mile Grand National race today here on the 2.5-mile
That's
track.
the one I was going to watch next time I'm live.
Randy LaJoie. Tomorrow
he was nominated to the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
42 drivers head for history in the
He's up against a lot of big people.
And coming up after these messages, we'll be showing you the second 125-mile qualifying race from this past Thursday.
Randy LaJoie, Ray Hendricks. You know, like the 11 and Randy were two that I heard.
And welcome back to
There's a few more. I didn't look up the rest.
Race for the 39th annual Daytona 500.
Let me try to remember.
Look at the starting order. Steve Grissom is the big surprise. His qualifying run lands him on the front row for the 500, as well as for this 125. Rusty Wallace alongside.
Just come out last week.
John Andretti of Indianapolis, Indiana, and Loy Allen Jr. Row 3.
I'll look on
going for
J-Ski.
his 8th straight 125 victory, Dale Earnhardt. And the new guy on the block, Robbie Gordon. Row 4, 5-time winner in the 125s, Darrell Waltrip and Bill Elliott. Row 5 is Kenny Wallace and Wally Dallenbach Jr.
I don't want to speak until I look it up for sure.
Jeff Gordon is there, who won this race as a rookie in '93, and Terry Labonte. In row 7, it's Ricky Craven and Chad Little. Row 8, Michael Waltrip and Hut Strickland. Row 9, Johnny Benson Jr. and Gary Bradbury. In row 10, Blake Speed and Ken Schrader. Row 11's Kyle Petty and Dave Marcus making his 30th effort for the Daytona 500. Row 12, Larry Pearson and Morgan Shepherd. Rounding out the field, it's David Green, new guy here in Winston Cup Racing, and Norm Benning.
The field evenly divided between Chevrolet and Ford with 11
I didn't
each.
think it would be
Pontiac
too
has
long
4 in this
ago,
race.
but they put in a lot of stories.
And again, this race, as the first, runs 50 laps, 125 miles. We have an additional starter here, 26 cars out there. Pays the same, and the top 14 qualify. Steve Grissom outside of that front row, guaranteed from qualifying previous Saturday. Coming to green.
Harry Gant, yes.
Right now, what they're trying to do is establish a good drafting partner. You see them making it 3 wide as they head down into turn 1.
John Andretti. Bottom of the racetrack. Scoots through and takes the lead.
Say
Grissom. The driver they call the good guy from Gadsden, number 41, right there in second. Earnhardt looks to the inside on Grissom.
okay, the nominees for the Hall of Fame for next year are
On the outside as they head down the backstretch first time, and look at number 17 trying to bust his way through. Moves right around Earnhardt.
there's 15 nominees. Kurt Busch, Randy LaJoy, Jake Elder, that's Suitcase Jake, crew chief. That's the Pioneer ballot. And then the Modern Era ballot, 10 on the Modern Era, 5 on the Pioneer, which I just read. Elder, LaJoy, Bush, and Bush, Elder. Let's see who else.
Steve Grissom got caught in the middle and had to back off. There he is, still in the middle as Gordon comes by on the inside. Here comes Ricky Craven in the red number 25.
Jeff Gordon making an incredible run from 11th at the start.
Humpy Wheeler joins the landmark ballot. Modern Era.
Gordon right down to the bottom. He's underneath number 17. He's underneath number 2.
Okay, Modern Era ballot. Greg Biffle, Neil Bonnet, Tim Brewer, Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, Randy Dorton, he's an engine builder, Harry Gant, Harry Hyde, Randy LaJoy, and Jack Sprague. Pioneer ballot, Jake Elder, Ray Hendricks. They put Ray Hendrick with a no S, but it's got an S. Ray Hendricks, Banjo Matthews, chassis builder, Larry Phillips, and Bob Wellborn. And then the landmark would be Alvin Hawkins, the first flagman, and Lisa France Kennedy, Joseph Mattioli, founder of Pocono, Les Richter, was a NASCAR executive of competition at one time, and Humpy Wheeler. So that's who was in there. It's going to be a tough choice. I think
Next, it's
the word.
I wouldn't want to have to be making that choice.
Italy. Same-day coverage of the men's slalom featuring Alberto Tomba and the women's downhill. It's all on Olympic Winterfest. The best seat in the house today inside the Bud 1 airship flying over the Daytona International Speedway to bring us these beautiful shots.
Still early in the going. John Andretti down on the inside. Getting some help from Wallace on the outside is Earnhardt, but Andretti comes back.
You could see almost Earnhardt looked in the mirror and noticed that Rusty Wallace was not with him, and he pulled right back down.
Look at Ken Schrader come up on the inside, making a pass without any help, or at least trying to make a pass on Bill.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough choice.
Oh, that is Wally Dallenbach in the green car, number 46. I thought
Honestly, I can't believe Bonnet's not in it, so I would have to go there right off the bat, and Ray Hendricks too.
There's speculation that his qualifying time isn't fast enough to get in the race. He's got a good sponsor. We wish him well in this race.
But I'd have to say Bonnet, maybe.
Trying to make this 500. It would be his 30th.
More than anyone else.
I'm torn because my dad worked with Ray, so I can't make a fair decision. He worked with Randy too. I can't make a fair decision on any of them.
The yellow, number 30, Johnny Benson.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, got Lake too.
And the crash continues in the rear of the field.
Kyle Petty and Morgan Shepherd both involved.
Lake Speed slamming into the wall here in the tri-oval.
That team was unsponsored. We had worked with them the year before, and we knew that it was probably last
Ricky Craven's number 25.
not too long at Melling because Harry was getting older.
Lake Speed is all right, climbing out of the Melling.
And they were running on a shoestring, I do know. As far as the racing budget goes, I mean, they all had money, of course, but...
It got tripped into the wall in this incident.
Let me fast forward because this will take a long time.
Now, sir, he's out of this race, Ken, but his qualifying
41, the car
lap.
that Craven drove the Euro.
He was within a half a car length of clearing those group cars, and Jeff and I would set sail, and just got hung up and tried to push the issue a little bit. And Chad could have given me a break, but he didn't. And I don't know if it was 2 inches or 2 feet, but I tried squeezing into a hole, and it just I felt him. You know, I was feeling him through 3 and 4, but it just wouldn't let go. And needed a break. I didn't get one. I screwed up.
So did Dick Berggren.
Lake Speed has just walked across the infield. Lake, you had been running so fast here at Daytona, but you've just been through the big one. What happened?
Well, 2 guys in front of me got together. One of them hooked the other one in the right rear corner, and it turned them in an outside wall. And when they bounced off the wall, and I tried to sneak by them on the inside, but they just barely clipped me, and it turned me too.
Going to be able to get into the Daytona 500 anyway?
Oh, yeah. The Melling Performance Ford was fast enough to
He
get
had a
on
good
time
time.
alone, so we had the 10th fastest overall speed. So we're guaranteed to be in the race. We just have to pull out our backup car and go to it. It's never been tested down here. It may be faster than the one we had.
And he's on his way for the mandatory ride to the care center just to be sure he's all right, but he looks fine.
Lake Speed under caution. Field organizing for a restart. We'll be back forward in a moment.
Oopsie.
Why would this guy get new permanent teeth in
Oopsie.
24 hours? Instead of placing you in temporary teeth, you get your permanent teeth in...
They sure don't let you click.
The top 15. Take a look at that sort out.
Yeah, they don't waste any time. They're going at it once again. Of course, this is a good time to pass. If you can build up some momentum on that restart before others get up to speed, you can make a pass, and that's what Robbie Gordon did.
That looked like a tough man fight on the beginning of that start.
It did. I saw Michael Waltrip there in the 21. He went and made it 3 wide before, just after they passed the flag. You can't pass until you get past the flag. He took full advantage once he got by the flag.
Getting sorted out in that second group very quickly. Terry Labonte trying to move in on these leaders.
Terry got off to a slow start there. Lost a good bit of ground in the front.
There in turn 3 on the 98. Now it's straightened away, and John Andretti continues to lead. Oh, take a look at number 44. Slide down to the inside and gun it through Kyle Petty.
Kyle was involved in that incident. Apparently didn't hurt his car. Came in, changed tires.
Chad Little, a green and yellow car on the bottom. So he might be going back a spot. Front of the field, Andretti Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, Jeff Gordon, Darrell Waltrip, Dallenbach all in there. Dallenbach a big surprise on this one. Larry Pearson back there in 17th position for Bud Moore, struggling to get into this race.
Yeah, he definitely needs to get in the top 15 here. I don't think his qualifying speed would get him in.
You know, I feel all of a sudden, I don't believe that Earnhardt and those guys are going to just sit there and ride nose to tail for the whole event. They're looking him over pretty good. John Andretti leading the race there. You can see him kind of looking to the inside, outside. But right at the moment, the tires are not really heated up to the point that he would lose any traction. So he's not making any mistakes. He's hard to pass.
He has a fast race car. He has been fast, Andretti, during practice and certainly in qualifying.
Speed for this race well down around 129, 130 miles an hour after that caution for that crash up in turn 4 and down into the tri-oval area. Now look at the number 94 has pulled up into this thing, Bill Elliott. Meanwhile, struggling back here is the Bud Moore, car number 15 and 7 spot. Larry Pearson, Spartanburg, South Carolina, is trying to qualify this car desperately for Bud Moore. And there's a story here, Buddy Baker, because the last time that Bud Moore failed to qualify,
1972, when they were running the small block and David Pearson was driving the 15 car.
Dad.
They didn't make it.
Larry's dad, David Pearson, was driving for Bud Moore that year when they lost a motor. They're struggling to get in this race.
Yes, and they desperately need a sponsor. You see there's no riding on the side of that car number 15.
Back with the leaders. Here you have Andretti, Earnhardt, Wallace, Gordon, and Waltrip looking great out there right now.
If I was Waltrip, I'd chrome everything I own. I hadn't seen him run like this in a couple of years. This is great to see him back being competitive again.
5-time winner of the 125. Darrell Waltrip right there. And Grissom has just pulled the number 41 onto pit road. Remember, he was
that is a powerful
starter in the 39th Daytona 500.
Front group there.
Down to the inside, sweeping through. Is he going to make a move in turn 3 to take the lead? I don't think he's going to make it that time.
Didn't have enough momentum. Now he's going to try it again. He's hanging right in there.
Well, here we go. Andretti's in trouble now. He does not have a drafting partner. And you can see Rusty Wallace is going with Dale Earnhardt.
John Andretti caught on the outside. His car owner won 6 of these 125s. The great Dale Yarborough, second only to Earnhardt. Oh,
whoa.
Look at them push each other around. That's Gordon on the inside.
Hit that Florida sand that was blowed on the track.
You'd have had about 8 cars in the wall.
Slippery.
Masterfully driven by both of them.
What a bold, gutsy move.
And Wallace just keeps his foot in it. Here comes Waltrip up into 4th.
Andretti made the mistake going into turn 3, didn't keep his car right down on the bottom, and look at Dallenbach making it 3 deep.
Wally Dallenbach last year in Bud Moore's Ford was up in the top 3 all day long. He loves this racetrack, and he's given the 46 a great ride today.
Loves to go fast. Dallenbach looking tremendous for the Felix Sabates team at the present time. Pulls up another spot. Earnhardt, Wallace fighting it out with Gordon. Gordon into 2nd. Wallace back to 3rd. Dallenbach up into 4th. If this is any indication of the Daytona 500 this year, we're in for one of the best races ever. First 125, fantastic race. And look at this second battle. You now have Earnhardt out in front.
You can see Andretti is trying to get back in that lower line where everybody's hooked up and moving by him. He has went from 1st to about 10th already, and he's on a steady move to the back.
And they're not going to let him in. Kyle Petty, what a run he's giving that number 44. Talk about hot wheels.
Rusty Wallace has been a rocket since he got here at Daytona, but Robin Pemberton, it doesn't look like they really want to draft with your guys. What's going on? Well, I guess they're just not used to seeing Rusty run up front. I guess after this race, it might take him a little more serious. Him and Earnhardt might work good together, or Robbie Gordon, but right now I don't see anybody else who would run with him.
He's going to need some help, Ken Squire. And I think one of the things he's trying to do is exactly that. The word on Wallace was he was not comfortable on these big 2.5-mile tracks, and he's having to reassert himself. And that's what you see him doing in that move against Gordon just 3 or 4 laps ago. He's throwing everything at this race.
And there are 15 cars in this lead draft. One of them is not going to qualify for the Daytona 500 if it stays this way till the end.
Guy on the tail end of that right now is Hutch Strickland in the Stavola car. The 84 car coming in once again. It's several laps down. Earnhardt in front. Can he win this thing 8 straight? Win a 125-miler? That would be his 29th win at Daytona, but still, the 500 eludes him. Can he win it this year? That's one of the biggest questions to be answered in the 39th running of the Great American Race. The current standings after 21 of 50, Earnhardt in front, Gordon in second, Rusty Wallace in third. Hey, we've seen that before. Stay tuned.
I'm not sure if he wins it in 98
Summary is sponsored by
or 99. I think he wins it in 99. No, he wins. He might win it this year. I forget. We'll have to see next time.
3-car crash collected Craven, Speed, and Allen. And Steve Grissom, he has fallen out of this race. Ralph Shaheen standing by with Steve Grissom.
Well, Steve has climbed back to the transporter, gotten changed. Tell me what happened to you.
Well, it's just one of those deals there that we tried a little different setup than what we practiced, and we know we got a pretty good race deal, and we just wanted to try this, see what it would do for the 500, and you know, with that, there's a lot of guys out there trying to get in the 500, and you know, we almost got caught up in a wreck there and said, wait, we don't need to do this, and you know, with that, we'll come back, change, and go back where we were practicing the other day and be ready for Sunday.
And on Sunday, he'll start from the front row.
There's a new day coming in Winston Cup racing, and it starts with the 1997 Daytona 500. Mike Skinner and Steve Grissom in the front row here in the second 125-mile qualifier. Look who's come to fourth. Texas Kerry Labonte buckles down and goes after those leaders. The defending Winston Cup champions on a roll.
And he had dropped back to about 10th place or something on that restart, was a couple of seconds behind him, now has passed all those cars in front of him and has moved right
I lived in Mooresville back when the tragedy all happened, and
all of a sudden, no matter what racetrack you're at, Terry always appears when it counts.
trying to remember. Oh, my ex at the time was a different ex, and he didn't work in racing. He worked at a company in Harrisburg, so we would have to go by the Dale shop in 2001, and you know, before.
A real hard bite on that Winston Cup championship, then came back to Atlanta.
Ah, I see. You got to watch it.
Teamed up for a lap of honor when it was over. That was so
That's
special
cool.
to racing fans throughout America.
You know, we're seeing something right now that's very, very important. Kenny Schrader started very far back and already worked up to Seth. He loves this racetrack.
I lived in that Mooresville area in North Carolina until 2020. I moved down to Florida near my folks and family. I miss North Carolina. I like short track racing a lot.
He's staying right up in there, and he's come from pretty far back. So
But I'm writing the book on my father's chassis building stuff, and doing research is how or why I watch movies. I research by watching races, getting delirious. I've been like awake all night.
If he stays where he is, then Kyle Petty will definitely be in the race.
It could be Presley.
Use a Spectrum savings
It
calculator
might be Harry
before.
Gant,
I know
though.
that since we're existing Spectrum Internet
Because
customers,
Presley
we
was
get
in
more.
it. Yeah, it's going to be Harry Gant, because Presley had just gone in 97 to the ST Motorsports 47 mid-year. Well, he could be, though.
Coming by
You know what? He could be in that 33, but I think it's a little soon. I think he was just in Busch in 97. I'm pretty sure the 33's Harry.
Let me say one thing about Morgan Shepherd.
But we'll see when they show it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
At the first part of the race and kind of caved the nose in on his car. I imagine he's fighting a car that's trying to lift down the straightaway.
Yeah, he's back in 16th with Bradbury right behind him in 17th, and then Larry Pearson with a Bud Moore car in 18th. So unless something shakes out,
yeah,
cars,
I know that Presley will get into the Busch 47 car mid-season after Milwaukee, maybe, or around that time.
Keep him in a straight line. You're gonna
maybe
run down those leaders. Mike Joy?
Because Fuller was driving it then in the beginning of the season.
1960 wall thermometer from the A.J. Foyt collection. It belongs to Danny Myers. 78 degrees, works pretty well. The new crew chief here is Larry McReynolds. And Larry, we've watched Dale draft with a Ford behind him, Rusty Wallace, and now with a Chevy behind him, Jeff Gordon. Which works better?
Well, I don't know. I'm still learning about these Chevrolets. And, you know, I'm sure Jeff Gordon, Rusty Wallace, those guys are just sitting there. The crew chief is giving them their laps, and they're trying to feel maybe where we're a little weak, if we're a little weak, and maybe where we're strongest. But they're dealing with the best in the business. There's no question about that.
How are you fitting in here?
These guys maybe feel like I've been with this team for a long time. They've welcomed me with open arms. Dale, great relationship with him. I can call him a really true friend right now. Richard Childress, Bobby Hutchins. Just everybody at Richard Childress Racing has made me feel so much a part of this program.
Spoken like a true winner, Ken.
See the front of the field? I'll tell you one that's running very, very well is Michael Waldrop. He started 15th in the 21 car, and he now finds himself in 7th for the Wood Brothers.
And I think he would be happy, Ken, if he could ride it out and finish in that position.
Very big moment here in Daytona back on Monday night. They honored the Wood Brothers, put them into the Hall of Fame down here in Daytona Beach. The Rotary Club sponsored that, and the gentleman who led the induction program was the guy to our right, Ned Jerry. Big night. Those Wood Brothers are so special.
Well, that was a fun night. They went in along with Smokey Unick, who lives here in Daytona and certainly has a great history in motorsports.
Smokey is like my superhero. If I ever had a superhero, it would be Smokey Unick. My dad knew him pretty good, I'd say. He knows his family better now. Smokey's son and stuff. I got to meet Smokey's daughter. Got to go to the stone dedication when they put a stone marker where his garage used to be.
Good for David.
Well, Dave's having a great run.
Yeah. My dad actually has a Spring Raider that was Smokey's, an apron, and I think they bought a boilerplate, the people my dad works for.
He's got to finish in the top 14 in this race.
Richard Childress has given motors to at least 3 different guys that are out here in the course of these 125 qualifiers. He has just helped so many in so many ways.
Boys, we just saw a wreck. It just didn't happen. Molly Dollenbach pulled directly over in front of a car running about 10 miles an hour faster than him, and it was just lucky we didn't have a wreck.
Yeah. What is the Earnhardt's great line? I was in a wreck. The only thing missing was the crash. We'll take a commercial break and be right back with the twin 125-mile qualifying race.
Schrader's in the 33. There we go. I know it was a little early, like a year early for Presley. Schrader. So Harry must have quit by now. What the heck? Oh. I was trying to fast forward, but that's being shown. There we go.
Well, there are 8 cars that now have broken away from the other 7 that were in that.
Because I knew Harry was running in 93, specifically because I went to New Hampshire when I was still living in Massachusetts. And a friend of mine wanted Harry's autograph, and I got Harry's autograph for that person. friend from college, and then
John Andretti is in 15th position back there in that action as to who makes it.
any other reference point I really wouldn't know, remembered.
For Kenny Schrader, Andy, according to the stopwatches, you guys are now running a tenth or so quicker than the leaders. What do you got for them here at the end?
Well, I don't know. We're a little bit tight right now, and that draft deal is how they pick up a tenth or so every now and then. So,
yeah.
You know, we're just kind of hanging on with the leaders, and hopefully we can make it better, you know, on Sunday, because we're a little bit too tight right now.
Yeah, just for a little bit.
Johnny Benson and Michael Waltrip spent a tremendous amount of time drafting together yesterday. They feel very comfortable with each other and say their cars ran really good when they ran as a pair. That could be two to watch.
Well, Johnny Benson just slipped back here a bit.
You saw Austin Bill make that move 3 wide through the triangle here. That used to be a favorite spot to pass. You could get a car a little bit loose underneath you and just rocket by on the outside.
That was the old Petty place to pass. The only guy that would do that for years would be up in that triangle. Be Richard Petty. 10 to go this time by.
I can't believe Schrader and Kenny Wallace still race. That's so awesome. Ryan Newman, too, and Bobby Labonte running up the Smart Tour. Oh, let's see. I think Ryan Newman ran Cars Tour last week, too. I follow Cars Tour a lot. I like Landon Hoffman and that team because I watched Robert race. So when I moved down south, I saw Landon running on the sim. I said, I want to be a fan. I never got to be a fan. So I enjoyed that. Being a fan, like a goofy fan for Huffman. And I've seen them twice, 3 times when they came to Daytona. Last 3 years, I make a point to see them. RJ and all.
The car's pretty good, Mike. It's a little bit tight, but yeah, with
The
this
high
new
rock
stuff,
team.
we're running a little bit, but I think we know what to do. We just, you know, we just kind of see what happens.
Can he get to the front?
Well, we're trying to get our in position right there because I know Jeff and Rusty, they're going to stir that stuff up here in a little bit.
All right. We look forward to that.
That guy.
Has begun. Earnhardt
That hero card from 2 years ago Daytona when I went and saw the show card down at
the 98, hard after it. Petty on the inside. John Andretti up around the outside.
I don't go to the big races much anymore, but I'll go try to meet people if they're in town.
Somebody's going to make a deal for Kyle Petty and say, hey, John, you're going to be back here anyway. One more spot's not going to make that much difference. Your speed will get you in this.
There's so many great,
bumped
wonderful
the
memories
mouse,
attached to fishing for me.
so I got
There's various opportunities.
Kyle's speed won't get him in that race. Now they're starting to mix it up.
Oh, yes.
Here we go, guys. Look at Bill Elliott on the outside there. I tell you, he found something.
Yes, he has, buddy. He said, Mike Beam, his crew chief, said the car was a little tight. Well, he decided to run it up higher on the racetrack, make the racetrack a little bit longer. That's what you got to do with the tight chassis.
Going for fourth. Bill Elliott a year ago.
Those cars were amazing in person, though. They were so majestic, big, and now they're so tiny. In person, anyway. I was shocked how small well, I race in Class A Cup cars are now. In real life, I saw Ross Chastain's up at a Walmart here at Speedweeks this year. I was just shocked. I put a video on YouTube of walking around it and stuff. I just don't do much editing. I'll just film something. If I see racing people in the area, whatever, I'll do a quick video or a car show or whatever. Nothing fancy for sure. But that's what I normally do is after I finish streaming, I'll just upload it to the YouTube because Twitch erases them and stuff eventually.
Up there on him.
6 to go. Elliott in
6
fourth.
to
We've got
go
2
on this
Chevrolets
one.
leading. 2 Fords, third and fourth.
Man, Earnhardt was so good at winning these 125s. Johnny Andretti.
Break for Kyle Petty.
Yeah, Andretti is slowed dramatically on the racetrack, so that will be a break for Kyle Petty. Puts
Look
him
at the
back in
leaders.
position.
For more on Kyle Petty, let's go to El Shaheen.
Ken, that is exactly the break that Kyle needed. I talked to his crew chief, and he said there was no way they were going to catch him. And with that, they are now going to have this opportunity to try to get past John Andretti. Let's check with Mike Joy.
They're going to pit John Andretti. The pit board is
same. Tanya Kangas.
Earlier did not want Jeff Gordon right up behind him. It set his car a little bit sideways. So what are they telling Jeff Gordon from his pit?
Let me see if I put it in my commands. I'm not sure.
Yes, sir.
You bet. There's Kyle Petty, who now has a handle on that 14th position. Andretti pitting out to Bradbury to 15th and up to 16th to move Larry Pearson.
And the
I set up those links probably 3 years ago. It should be the same.
Kyle Petty and those that are fighting for that last position.
Earnhardt going for that 8th consecutive 100.
It's just my first name, Tanya, T-O-N-J-A,
win at Daytona.
and
Still the
Kangas.
500 eludes him. Will it change Sunday in the Great American Race? Here he is back, and there's Andretti in. Quick change. You can see the front of those damaged a bit, and the tail showing up a couple of marks.
That's a smart move. When you brush the wall here,
It's where I have all these playlists of my dad's different years, and I keep shoving races into it. They're in no specific order, but it's so they can go back and reference.
Here's Schrader taking a look at the 94.
I've written or typed up to
running that high line, trying to pick up on him.
up to 93 from 57 to 93, and
come down like he's doing right now. He really picks up the draft, but he's losing.
94, 95, 96, and 97. My dad jumped around a lot. 98 he was with Feediwa.
To Dick Berggren.
And then I think 2000 was Dad's kind of last year. Maybe 2001 he went part-time. But 2000 was his last full-time.
Like I say, it's a qualifying race, and it's kind of a tune-up for the 500. We'll be good Sunday.
So I'm almost done writing.
The 21 of Michael Waltrip.
But the editing. Oh, it still works good.
Definitely back into it. Now here comes the 24.
Lately I've been walking around the park and taking pictures of wildlife and alligators and stuff like that.
At Talladega.
It's been, so it's just like everything mashed together on one channel. Because I'm not no pro. Just retired and writing Dad's book.
0.15 of a second faster than was Dale Jarrett and Ernie Irvin in the first race here today.
Schrader pulling up on the outside to work in that draft for the 94. Elliott, here he comes. Elliott looking to make a move. Gordon is out there.
Uh-oh.
Time is running out. Down to the last 2 laps.
That's what I was going to say. This is exciting now. Boy, these guys were like so bigger than life. We're getting there. I think NASCAR's coming back. It's making a comeback. We got some good characters now.
White flag, one more to go.
Some major talent coming up from short track soon, too.
Perched right there in second spot is Jeff Gordon.
Look at Michael Waltrip. We're making it 3 deep going into the turn.
Michael Waltrip trying to pick up a couple of spots on the bottom. The Wood brothers are back and ready to storm in this Daytona 500 upcoming. Back straight away, Gordon.
It would have worked if somebody tucked in with Michael, but man, this is exciting.
Very straight, just behind him, Jeff Gordon trying to find any weaknesses. It does not look like he's going to be able to catch Earnhardt.
Gordon right there in second spot, coming to the line, final time in the second 125
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, my son races, and he doesn't stream or anything, but Gamer Kid and him out online. He's Whitfield up, so Gamer Kid. Jason Blaney, Bill.
How about that for Larry McReynolds and company? There's Richard Childress patting Larry on the back as he makes his copious notes.
Trying to remember this more.
Great finish for Earnhardt and for Gordon and for Elliott, Schrader, Michael Waltrip.
He
Rusty
races
Wallace,
mostly
Benson, Labonte, Robbie Gordon,
league stuff too.
One of 500.
And he's been doing officials lately.
Dave Marcus coming across.
He's like a 38.
This has been some race and some
Getting
show
there.
of authority by some of
Working
the
on
great
it.
names in the
Halfway
game.
there.
Yes, indeed, Ken. Now let's take a look at the pass that put Dale Earnhardt out front, and he went on to win. John Andretti was leading the race in car number 98. Earnhardt made a move down on the inside and took the lead, one that he would never relinquish.
Let's take a look at the finish today. Buddy, how about this?
This is Earnhardt coming down for the start-finishing line. You can see he has a good lead. Right now, he's looking in the mirror. He realizes he has it won again. 10 times he's won the 125 here at Daytona.
And the headlines tomorrow are sure going to read the Dale and Dale Show in these 125-mile qualifiers. Winner is in victory lane, Dale Earnhardt. Mike Joy is with him.
Dale, as they called the race, they said it's hard to beat a car that's tracking that well.
It is really running good. You know, it looked like the guys could try to make a run on me, but they needed help. And Gordon was pretty tight on me off the corners, which was making me a little neutral, but the chassis was great. So it's great to win a race for Larry McReynolds and the whole team, really.
You had Rusty behind you in a Ford. You had Jeff behind you in a Chevrolet. Did it make much difference?
No, I really didn't. You know, Jeff, he kept trying off of 2 over there, and I think, you know, he sort of eased up, or whether the 94 made him loose or what there at the end of that race. Sort of eased up like he's going to try to make a run on me, but he didn't have enough.
Well, Dale, 8 wins in a row in this event. It's Thursday. I got to ask you, what about Sunday's big money?
Well, we hadn't used up too much of our luck, so maybe we got enough for Sunday. Got a good race car right here. This is the car we're racing.
Results from the second 125-mile
I'll
qualifier
follow you
at
back
Daytona.
on YouTube.
Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, Elliott,
also,
Wentz, and Show, Schrader, Michael Waltrip, Rusty Wallace, the top 6.
And the second 6
back here before they put up all that.
And Dave Marcus getting in the race.
I've been trying to figure out where this picture of me was taken. I'll show you after.
Sad note here,
And
Larry Pearson for the Bud Moore team could muster nothing more than the 16th position. And that means it could be the end of the Bud Moore team.
Now my dad will end up working with Kenny Wallace most of the 97 after Gil Martin leaves and Newt Moore comes. Newt will hire my dad, who is more like the front end chassis stuff.
After these messages.
See this big building right here? I think that's where this picture was taken. Let me see. I'm going to skip this. Yeah, this right here. Let me pause that just a second. That building wasn't built, maybe? I'm trying to figure out if that is, I know this sounds weird, right here. If that's this. I was not sure if I was at Talladega or Daytona, and I think it was Daytona, but this looks like partially built. That's Lori. She was the scorer for Bobby Labonte then. Oops, wrong one. Oh, God, I got a ton of things open. I'll never get this open now. Let's see, OBS. Oh, my. Here we go. Yeah, I'm wondering if that's the same building. I was looking at it. It's either here or it's Dega. I can't remember. I think it looks like that's the building, but just not built yet.
Back with you at Daytona, and after viewing those 125-mile qualifying
because there's no seats on the one that I was taking a picture of.
1993, the Dale and Dale Show would certainly be indicative of that from those 125s on Thursday.
Well, both of them have very strong race cars, Ken. There's no doubt about that. But I'll tell you, when you put them all out there together tomorrow, we just saw half of the field at a time today. But when you put them all out there together tomorrow, it's going to be a great race, I think.
Talk about strategy
Ken
in this
Squire,
race for the 500 500 tomorrow. You talk with the
Started
fastest
up
500
in
race winner
Vermont.
ever, Buddy Baker. What about it?
At Thunder Road. He owned Thunder Road Racetrack.
Side by side, various grooves around the racetrack, and probably 20, 25 cars that have a very good chance in the race tomorrow.
Now, a short time ago, had that last chance practice out here on the track, and they were really rambling, Ned.
Yeah, this is what they call happy hour, the last chance to get those cars dialed in for the Daytona 500. And actually, Ken, the track conditions are the closest to actual race conditions that they've been since they've been here at Daytona.
Ricky Rudd with a handful right here. I think we're going to see a lot of side-by-side racing in this 500 when they get down to business at 12 noon tomorrow.
Well, you can see the cars are very evenly matched. Morgan Shepherd starting in the one car there. He's starting at the very back of the pack. That don't mean a thing at 500 miles.
Let's go pit side. Mike Joy.
Ken, I think this race can be won on pit road. The team that has consistent error-free stops and is the first off pit road on the last pit stop is going to be hard to beat. I'll put Rusty Wallace's team squarely in that category. Dick Berggren?
Well, the team that wins has got to have it all together, and Earnhardt's team surely does. They've won 29 times at Daytona, never the 500. Tomorrow will be their day. Ralph?
Dick, I agree with Mike. I think it is the team off the pit road. The best will be the winner, and that's why I like the 3-car. I think Dale Earnhardt's crew.
If you ever at a race, never stand and see how fast they come in off of pit road. I mean, they whip.
You're riding with my
I've
pick
seen
right
people
now. That's the
so
88.
close
This
to getting
car
wiped
is
out
quicker
so many
off turn
times.
2 than anything here at
Also,
Robert
if you
Gates'
look
car.
around,
I'm
like,
looking for Dale Jarrett
my
to win his
banner,
third Daytona 500.
all around, like the outside, those are all like cars my dad worked with.
And won 29 times here, but he never
And
won
the 97 down the bottom, below the orange thingy.
Tomorrow on CBS.
Like,
for Ned Jarrett, Darrell Waltrip,
let
Bobby
me see,
Baker, Mike
like
Joy,
2
Dick
over
Berggren,
from my
and Ralph
picture
Ken Squire saying so long
this
from
way
Daytona International Speedway.
is the my dad picture of my dad there with the Square D outfit on.
The Daytona 500 starts at noon Eastern. Coming up
But
next,
yeah.
it's the World Alpine Ski Championship featuring the men's and women's downhill.
That's about gonna do it for me for now. I'm gonna rage out to another racer. Let's see. Oh, I see. They give you all kinds of people now. Here we go. Hope this works. See you later. Thank you so much for the follows and for the hanging out. And come back next time. Let's see. I think it worked. I think it worked. Start watching. Have a good one. See you over on Vaughter.